Hey, everybody. Tonight we're debating whether or not Trump is a fascist, and we are starting right now with Paul's opening statement. Thanks for being with us, Paul. The floor is all yours.
Thank you for having me again, James. Thanks, Andrew, for wasting your time here with me tonight. I appreciate it. I probably wouldn't have chosen this topic if I were given free reign to choose a topic with Andrew. Is Trump a fascist? Doesn't seem all that consequential to me. But to answer the question, yeah, he's a fascist. I would rather not get bogged down tonight in definitions and stuff because I don't think when your average Joe says Trump is a fascist, they've read Umberto Eco and they've studied Stalin. I think that they're saying that they believe that Trump has fascist ambitions or fascist intent. And not to preempt an argument, but I did watch a few of Andrew's debates on this topic, previous debates. And if you're going to, ask me to uh, ascertain whether or not Joe Biden is a fascist, I'm willing to go with that. I'm hoping we can stick to Donald Trump, but I'm no Biden fan. I'm not a lib. I'm a leftist. And maybe to some people, there's no distinction between those two things, but I'm no fan of the Democratic Party. I'm not here to carry their water. So I'm hoping we can stay locked in on would the average person be led to believe that Donald Trump might have fascistic intent? And then I think it's perfectly okay for them to shout loud and proud fascist. So I'm hoping that's where we can keep the talk tonight. Once again, I appreciate it. Also, right here at the end, what can I do, James, to get you to do a debate con on the West Coast? When are you
We
coming out here?
might. We've thought about doing one in Las Vegas. It's tough to do in Los Angeles because the land is so valuable, is that it's pricey out there. But we've peeked around at Los Angeles. It's not impossible. More likely in Las Vegas or Phoenix.
If you do it, I'm there. Houston, I cannot, or Dallas, sorry, it's Dallas, the one I can't do Dallas. Anyway, I yield back the balance of my time and look forward to hearing what Andrew has to say.
Thank you very much for that opening, Paul. And folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, I'm your host, Dr. James Coons. We are a fully neutral platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. And if you haven't heard, if you've been living in a cave on Mars with your fingers in your ears, DebateCon 8 is happening this summer, July 25th, July 26th in Dallas. Tickets are linked in the description box and pinned in the top of the chat. It's going to have epic debates, including Dinesh D'Souza versus Andrew Wilson, and as you can see at the bottom right of your screen, also God Logic Apologetics versus Daniel Hakikachu. You don't want to miss it. Click and get your tickets right now, as we are definitely expecting to sell out. With that, we'll kick it over to Andrew. Thank you very much. The floor is all yours.
Well, first, thanks for coming out to do the debate. I appreciate it. And I'm just going to kind of dive right in here. Trump isn't a fascist due to the fact that he doesn't fit any criteria for fascism. It's really kind of that simple. Fascists are corporatists, and Trump isn't. He's definitely not, in fact. And they appeal to the emergence of a new identity blended with the old. That's the idea of the fasci. It's kind of a bizarre idea. And Trump doesn't do that either. They're also ultra nationalists. And I would just kind of argue that Trump is barely a nationalist. He's like barely even a nationalist. Fascism had its place in history, and it was actually closer to socialism than it is to capitalism. It relied heavily on corporate and trade syndicate regulation to impose a sector based economy. And Trump doesn't do any of those things. As in, I mean, he doesn't even do one of those things. He's definitely not a corporatist by any meaningful definition or any meaningful way that anybody could identify him as one. If you take corporatism to just not mean what it means, then you could maybe say he's a corporatist because he likes corporations, but that's not really what corporatism is. As far as ultranationalism, he has like gold star immigration programs and all sorts of other things that I can cite for you. And he has all kinds of policy that I can point to that's pretty contradictory to even nationalism, let alone ultranationalism, at least by any conventional sense of the word. Now, I've argued this topic with leftists many times, and I've never really gotten any good answers out of them. as to why it is that they think Trump is a fascist exactly. So I'm going to take a shot at it. I think they just don't mean that he is, and they just don't like him. And I wish that they would be just kind of more honest. Like they could just be like, look, I don't fucking like the guy. I don't like his policies. I don't like how he treats people. I just don't fucking like him. And that I feel like that's a much more honest approach. But instead they load it with like fascism and Nazi stuff, and it just seems like rhetoric and vilification. And I do think they believe maybe that he's a fascist or Nazi, but it's more of a vibes thing. There's like I kind of feel like he is not. They're not really ever pointing to anything specifically. Maybe the closest that you have on that is like maybe Charlottesville, where you have something you could actually tangibly point to. But there's just really not much there. I am curious about how my opponent tonight is actually going to make a case for how Trump is a fascist, and it appears that so this was in my opening that I had pre-written, but it appears that the case he's making basically is he just kind of vibes it out. He feels like him and other people just kind of vibe out this sort of thing, maybe a colloquial term or something like that. If he is serious about this or is just here to meme, I have no idea. I know he's a comedian, but it seems like he's here in good faith, so that's good. I understand the general idea for why modern leftists think Trump is a fascist, but I didn't actually have any idea why you did, and I still kind of am unclear on that. So with that, I'd like to just kind of get into the debate. A couple things in the notes. He said you opened with, yeah, he's a fascist, but then you kind of relented it a little bit and was like, you were like, well, we kind of vibe it out. That's what I was getting from you.
Sure.
Hang on. Almost done. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
Almost done with the open. No, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. You don't really want to define the thing. I get that. People don't like getting bogged down in semantics. And I'll try to stay away from semantics a bit for you tonight, too, so we don't bog it down. So I can actually get to the kind of the root of what it is that you're talking about. And then you said he has fascist intentions. I think that's part of the vibes thing. And you said you're a leftist. And I'm guessing that you're using that as a distinctive term from, Democrat, progressive. The leftist is distinctive. Okay, gotcha. And then you said, would the average person believe Trump would have fascist intentions? And I'm guessing that that's kind of the road we're going to go down. So with that, I'll yield my time, and we'll just kind of dive into it.
Sure.
You got it. We're that. Folks will jump into the open dialogue. Following the open dialogue, we will have Q&A. If you happen to submit your question, you can do it either by tagging in the live chat at Modern Day Debate. Otherwise, Super Chat gets read first. And with that, thank you very much, gentlemen. The floor is all yours.
So to answer your question, I'm not here to meme. I am here in good faith. I watched, like I said, I watched quite a few of your other debates here on the channel on this topic. And I found a lot of the people to kind of be a little over prepped and a little too eager to kind of get into the definitions game. Nationalist, what is a nationalist and how does that differ from an ultra nationalist, was one where you stumped a lot of people. I'm not here to argue from that perspective.
Okay.
So my understanding of fascism is not super broad. I'm not a historian. I'm not a Mussolini expert, but I think we can both agree that when we hear the term fascist, right, Mussolini is who we think of.
Here in the United States, probably, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, probably, or Hitler, maybe.
Yeah,
like I think
Hitler or Mussolini, but
yeah, I think those would be, if you went like the fascists are coming, I think that the average person they would think either, Nazis, yeah. Right. I do think that that's probably true.
Sure, you're probably correct about that. But for me, the godfather of fascism, I believe that he invented the term as a governmental term, right? So I would say, for argument's sake, we're thinking Benito Mussolini.
Sure.
I don't think that the average person knows fuck all about Benito Mussolini. I don't claim that I do either, right?
I don't think the average person knows fuck all about much of anything.
Well, sure. We agree on that. Myself included, by the way.
Myself included. So we're in
there we go.
We're in a good boat here together.
We're both humble gentlemen. Look at us, the two of us. So no, my understanding of fascism, because I'm a lefty, is kind of steeped in Umberto Eco's Ur-Fascism, the 14
The 14
points.
tenets.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I thought it might be interesting if you and I, and we don't have to use this framework if you don't want to, but I thought if we go through each one of them briefly and see if we can come to an agreement on whether or not Trump touches any of these, right? Or
Sure.
how many of them.
Sure, I'm happy to go through the 14 tenets with you.
Okay, and I'm sure it's something you've done before. I don't mean to bore you with it, but let's take a look real quick.
Actually, I don't think in any debate in the last couple of years, too many people have brought up. I think that's Umberto Eco's 14 tenets of fascism. If I remember correctly, this was written in the 90s. Is that right?
Yeah. It was written in the 90s. Umberto himself lived through Mussolini's reign, and so
yep, I remember.
I figured him a good source, at least from that. I'm more apt to listen to somebody who lived through 9/11 about what it was like to be there than somebody who wasn't. Right?
Sure. I'm with you.
So the first tenet is the cult of tradition. This is a syncretic belief in ancient truths. It's a little weird, like you said. It's this idea of it rejects modern interpretations of traditional beliefs. So
I would agree that Trump would fit that bill of like an appeal to a tradition in the United States. I would kind of
make
argue
America great again, right?
Sure. I would just argue that all presidents do. They're all basically sourcing the tradition of the Constitution and the framework of the government and American patriotism and hoorah. That's basically all of them. But that I would even
all of them are looking. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's fine. I was just saying I think ultimately you could say that, but when this applied to fascism in this framework, fascism was trying to take like this bizarre old Roman idea, you know what I mean? We're going to bring back Rome and then like mix it with fast cars and we want to go fast and zoom, zoom, zoom. And they cut each other's faces with swords and shit. And like they were mixing a separate set in order to make a new idea. And Trump's kind of like appeal to tradition is just, it seems more to me like it's just kind of blasé blah political rhetoric, make America great again. There's no real reference point to when, where, how, just like once upon a time we were, and we're going to go back to that.
Well, doesn't that make it more effective as a piece of propaganda, though? There's no real specific point that we're referring to. Make America great again. Well, when was America great? What are we shooting for? I mean, it feels like fascistic rhetoric to me. Like there is some,
I don't know. I think
kind of ancient past that we're all kind of striving for, right?
I think it's just in line with what you hear in most political rhetoric, the appeal to tradition. So when I think of tradition, I think of experiments that in history that work. So I'm sure your family has traditions. I know my family has. Like one of my really close friends, every Christmas, it snows really hard in Michigan usually. And one of their traditions is they go out, him and his son, they take their shirts off and he shoves them as hard as he can in the snow and then runs out and locks the door because they think that's funny. Now, I have no idea where the hell that tradition came from, but I do think it's hilarious, right? And they stick, and they stick to that tradition. When you're talking about political traditions, you're kind of looking at experiments in history that worked. And I think most politicians appeal to some kind of traditional experimentation in America, like they'll say, America is about freedom. That's kind of an appeal to an American tradition. America is about, unity. America is about hard work. They're all appealing to the past, to the former state of things. You know what I mean?
But does that reject modern interpretation in the way that Umberto kind of ascribes?
Yeah, I think it does. I think that they're all trying to blend something kind of in a different form. They're saying they are appealing to the past. That's true. But essentially that's all it is. It's kind of like it's like a vibes thing. It's a rhetorical vibes thing. They're like, look, America is about patriotism. Like how many times have you heard politicians say, this is the country that put a man on the moon?
Right.
Like
of course.
it's all an appeal to this bullshit. You know what I mean? I don't think that Trump's Make America Great Again is any more rhetorically fascistic than any of that shit, honestly.
While we're talking about tradition, another point that I wanted to bring up, not to go too far afield, I want to get through these, but is that I believe fascism existed way before Mussolini and Hitler, right? It was something that kings and regents enjoyed the fruits of without having to call it fascism, right? So we're talking about disagreement is treason, fear
No,
of
I would.
difference.
Well,
You
I
don't think
would.
that the divine
Yeah,
right of
no.
kings kind of fits with a lot of these here?
No, fascism still worked within a sourced body, and corporatism was really what made it all work. It was Mussolini was trying to set a hierarchy of autocracy in a sectored economy. And when you're talking about kings and things like this, you're looking at a feudal system. Usually, that had lords and
Right.
viscounts, and it had knights and earls and nobility and all sorts of things, landholders.
But an
So there
autocratic
was,
ruler, right?
well, there was definitely autocracies, but there was like too many autocracies. That's where circuit judges came from, for instance. It's like because there would be landholders who owned, I don't know, let's say like 800 acres,
Yeah.
and they'd catch some asshole poaching on their land, their deer or something, and they'd string them up and kill them. They'd be like, "Well, you're subject to my land's laws," and
Right.
so judges started writing circuits, and to uphold the common law, they came up with the common law, and so they'd write circuits enforcing the common law on these private holders. So, in some ways, it was like I don't think it resembled fascism. I think it just resembled like 800 miniature kingdoms, 8,000 miniature kingdoms, you know.
Sure. So once again, just to button this one up,
Yeah.
number one, cult of tradition. You think it's arguable that Trump could fit some criteria here or no?
I think he does. I just think all politicians do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And maybe one day we'll discuss whether or not all politicians or the American system as it exists today is inherently
fascist.
fascistic. Yeah,
That's fair.
I mean, as a lefty, that's not entirely out of the realm of my wild imaginings.
Yeah.
So, second one is rejection of modernism. This views the Enlightenment and rationalism as the root of moral decline.
Yeah, I don't think that Trump himself gives a shit about that kind of stuff. He's more of a
I don't think he
demigod.
knows about it.
I
don't think he can tell you
he's
two
more
sentences
of a
about it.
demigod, but he seems like he embraces modernism a lot more than his right wing base would prefer. For instance, he has a lot of women who are in his various cabinets. Some of them who you wonder if they only got there because they're women, like Pam Bondi and others. Where you're like,
Sure,
what
right.
the fuck are you even doing there?
DEI
He's
hires from the
also
right.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
also is very much kind of more on the pro gay side, pro homosexual side. His base doesn't seem to like that very much. He actually embraces a lot of modernity a lot more than he rejects it.
What would you say about the kind of anti-trans thing? Because that's really what's changed in the last, I'd say, 10 or 15 years, right? Is that trans people have kind of become more visible, become a bigger discussion. And that's a big part of modernity, at least online, and I think in social discussions. And Trump outright rejects this, right? He's very specific about not wanting trans people to be able to use the bathroom that they choose to, not being able to hold certain positions like military positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would that not be a kind of rejection of one of the biggest parts of modernity right now when it comes to social discourse?
I don't think so, because the whole product you're talking about and the argument is a product of modernity itself. So it's almost a more of an embrace of modernity. So this is not something which American society or European society has actually had resolution on. You have
Sure.
everything from, like trans exclusionary radical feminists
Yeah.
to
These are is that, just to make sure I know who you're talking about, that's the all penis and vagina sex is rape types? Or no, wait. Those are
no, the trans exclusionary radical
yeah.
feminists are like everything. What they take the different approach. They're like, women fought their asses off for these rights, and we don't appreciate biological men coming in and pretending to be us. But they're still radical feminists on every other degree of what you would consider radical feminist to be, except this one. And
Right.
that's more of a product of modernity. And this is this argument around the whole trans situation is political points for both sides. In fact, I would argue from the leftist perspective, if I was a leftist I was very pro LGBTQ or whatever, I'd actually be pretty pissed off about the fact that it got tangled in with LGBTQ, because it kind of stalled their agenda a little bit.
Well, it is the T.
Yeah, but remember, it used to just be
It used to be just LGB.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it used to just be LGBTQ, and then that I would actually be mad that they tangled it up, because you don't actually have to be gay to be trans.
Well, it was tangled up from the very beginning. I mean, the Stonewall riots had a number of trans people at it, and I will tell you this TERF idea was very prevalent in those days, in the 70s. They didn't, the people that were at those riots, which is a seminal moment in, like, queer history, if you want to call it that, did not accept the trans women that were there fighting with them. They didn't want to hear them at rallies. They ostracized them.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, because they viewed them as homosexual men. And a lot of the modern trans exclusionary radical feminists also just view them as being homosexual men.
Yes.
So, I mean, I completely understand the logic behind it. It makes sense to me. But I wouldn't say that, no, I'd say that Trump embraces modernity far more than he rejects it. Like, I would expect Trump to do things like, if he was trying to make bids for the past, I would expect completely different play moves from him. And he doesn't really make any of those plays. He makes play moves that are really realistically, in the modern sense, dealing with issues of our time.
I do think he's definitely a more modernistic president than Joe Biden was. You know what I mean, in terms of his worldview and stuff. So I think you're probably right on that. Yeah. Doesn't fit Trump super neatly. Number 2.
Yeah, doesn't fit him neatly. No.
The cult of action for action's sake. That's number 3.
Well, that's a specific philosophy called pure act. And pure act philosophy is not, again, Trump. I don't think Trump knows anything about philosophy.
I don't think he does either.
Yeah. And you have to understand pure act philosophy from the prism of the fascists. They were actually engaging in real philosophical dialogue about freedom of choice and predeterminism, and whether or not you have biological functions which drive you. And Trump's not doing any of that shit. He doesn't care about any of that.
No. But right at the core of it, it's valuing action over reflection. It's kind of an embracing of anti-intellectual sentiment.
That's not really what pure act is, though. Pure act is a philosophy.
Well, he doesn't. I mean, to be fair, Umberto doesn't use the term pure act in that little sub definition.
But that's what he's referencing, is the fascistic philosophy of pure act. It's what it's all built on. Is pure. Okay. It's what's called pure act. And no, I don't think that Trump. I don't even think he gives a shit about that.
So like, if Trump doesn't know he's a fascist, does that mean he's not a fascist, even if he fits all of these?
No, I think that you could make the case that he would be if he fit every single one of the, or even most of them, or some of them, or whatever your criteria is. So I'd be willing to kind of grant that. I'm just saying here, I don't see any policy prescriptions from Trump based around the ideology or philosophy of pure act. He seems like he's more of a populist, and has always been a populist. He's kind of a reactionary more than anything. So when people are reacting to things he does, he moves policy that direction that he thinks is going to placate his base. I think he saw that recently with Iran, in fact, that I think he would have probably stuck in there with the Israelis for a lot longer, but his base was really pissed, and so he started moving off of that, right?
Yeah, I don't blame them. I saw a recent, not to get too far afield, but since you brought it up, I saw a recent debate, and when I say recent, within the last couple of weeks, where you were debating another person from the right. And
Owen Schroyer,
kind of yeah.
Well, let me guess. The clip was better they get blown up than essayed.
Oh, you know what? I saw the whole thing, but I didn't get to it from a clip. I kind of wanted to do my homework on it just to see, because if it went that direction. So you are still holding on that the Iran thing was good, that it was a good idea?
No, I've always been against the war.
Okay, but you think that okay, so you don't defend it at all.
No, I don't. I never thought it was a great idea. I always said, though, that the war wasn't enough to remove my support from him unless there was a ground invasion, an organized ground invasion.
Okay.
That would put us so close to a field with Bush doctrine at that point, there's no possible way that that my ideology could any longer coincide with that.
So it's another point of similarity between the two of us from opposite ends of the political spectrum. Maybe I'm a principled anti-war guy. If I believe that a president is going to take us to war for anything other than a defensive war, right, where somebody is attacking us and we have to stop them,
Yeah.
I believe that's a non-starter for me. I will not. That's why I've never voted for Trump. That's why I didn't vote for Biden.
Yeah, I understand. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people who have on the left and the right the very principle, like you said, principle anti-war, no war under any circumstances other than self-defense. I
Yes.
understand that position, but yeah, kind of moving back to the debate though.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. The deviation's fine, but when we go to point three, I don't think we agree on point three. I don't.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would take Iran as an example. I mean, I think it fits as an example for. I think if there was any kind of reflection and intellectual examination of the ups and downs of following Israel into this quagmire and not letting them kind of reap what they've sown, I think that we might have a different outcome today. We wouldn't be watching the economy go up while everybody else gets poorer somehow.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I don't know what that doesn't really have anything to do with Trump being a fascist, though. That's just him doing what he thinks is politically pragmatic. It's a bad
Well, if that
idea. I
aligns-
can
if
grant
that-
that it's a bad idea, but
Yeah.
it's much more difficult for me to say, well, he's doing it because he has some greater fascistic plan for the nation.
Mhm.
Like these people do this kind of shit all the time. I mean, if you
Well,
look at how many times presidents have engaged us in undeclared conflict with other nations, it's an incredible amount. It's actually more than we've declared war. Right? So
Yeah, right. We did agree though that if Trump didn't know he was a fascist, he would still be one if he met all the criteria.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of people in his orbit that lead him around by the nose. I mean, this guy he's very ego based, so it's probably very easy for slick people to put an idea in his head or to get him to back certain things. So if there was fascistic
Possibly.
intent in his cabinet and his close
Yeah,
advisory, I think Trump would go right into it, right?
I
And this might
understand.
be-
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. I just don't see how that would line up with the specific tenet, the third tenet
Fair enough.
there.
Fair
So,
enough. So we'll say
yeah.
we disagree slightly on that one. Let's move on to number 5. Disagreement is treason. So this is suppressing dissent and critical thinking as threats to unity.
Yeah. So I'm guessing
I
you're
think
going
he
to
fits this one.
he's going to reference some of Trump saying this guy's a traitor.
Well, I mean, there was a recent thing, and look, dude, I don't know that it neatly fits on this one, but I will say you can make a decent argument, right? There was a recent news story that came out where Trump had a stack of news stories that were negative against him in the war, and he put a sticky note on top of it that says treason, right? Now, of course, nobody was tried for treason, but I think that, going back to my opening statement and kind of how I'm framing this, it shows ambition, right? Like,
Yeah,
if he
I'm
could,
willing.
Trump would lop the heads off these motherfuckers, right?
I think for this one, I'm just kind of willing to grant it. So I would be willing to concede that you have enough evidence on your side from statements that even if I made the case, this is colloquial and everybody on X all day long calls everybody else a traitor, literally all day. That's my entire feed. This guy's a fucking traitor. No, you're the traitor. No, you're the traitor. I can't wait till we're in charge because you're going to prison. Well, I can't wait till we're in charge because you're gonna, you're gonna get the gallows. But I'm actually just kind of willing to grant 5 I'm sorry, 4 in your favor.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 5. Fear of difference. Xenophobia, racism used to unify the in group against outsiders.
I think that doesn't apply specifically to Trump. I think that this is party politics generally.
Well,
this would apply.
Nowadays, I would kind of agree with you because the Democrats ran on the same shit. The Democrats paraded a bunch of border agents and talked about how they were going to stop the crime wave and deport a bunch of people. So I would agree.
People say that id poll, like identity politics is a problem, but all politics is identity politics. And I mean, when you reduce it, we have universal suffrage, and that's going to reduce to 2 voting groups no matter what. There's nothing you can do about that. No third party will ever be viable if everybody has the vote. That's a natural emergence of universal suffrage.
You don't think that if people got sick enough of the fucking ping pong game that goes back and forth between these parties, and the broken promises and the bullshit, and a third party with a charismatic leader and some big money behind him comes along, you don't think that that would stand a chance? Like Ross Perot touched it, right?
Well, Ross Perot ended up splitting the vote, and that's why Clinton won.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying, Ross Perot, that's an example of a third party guy that he polled and went far enough. And if he could have gotten a few more people to split off of their, kind of red versus blue mentality, we could have had a Perot presidency there, right? You don't think that's a possibility?
I think that even if you had a third party and it won, that it would just supplant one of the parties, and you would still end up with reduction to a 2-party system no matter what.
So you think it would end up killing the Democrats or the Republicans and end up kind of filling that niche?
That's traditionally how parties worked in the United States when they split. They would end up supplanting the party that came before, but generally it always reduces to 2 parties. Even in systems that are different than ours in the UK and Canada, where they have a different voting structure altogether,
right?
It still usually reduces to just 2 parties.
Usually. Yeah. Every once in a while, though, one of these wild outsider parties will gain a majority, right, in Parliament.
That's true, but usually because one of the major parties gave them their votes as part of their voting system.
Sure.
So who was still in charge ultimately?
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like ultimately it always seems to reduce to a 2-party system. And I think unless you do something about universal suffrage, you can't really get the donor class out of there. And that's what like leftists really want. And that's what we really want. We want the fucking donor class out of there from influencing the vote. But I don't think you can do that absent. So no, I would reject 5, fear of difference. I think that the entirety of the 2-party system is always pointing out they're different than us. They're different than us,
So if we're talking about the little sub definition of, exploiting xenophobia and racism, you don't think he really fits that at all?
Sure. I mean, I would say that he exploits xenophobia. I would just say the same thing in the opposition. It would be like when Democrats are like, go to the old people in Florida and are like, oh, the Republicans are going to take away all of your health care and Medicaid. And, the Republicans are want psychopaths to have guns so that they can do this in schools. That's the same thing, right? It's a fear of difference just on the other side. So I don't think it's unique. I don't think it's unique to Trump.
But you're once again from my intro, you're not going to catch me carrying water for the fucking Democrats, man. I'm not.
No, I'm not saying you are.
Yeah,
I'm not saying. I'm just pointing out.
So maybe they have fascistic intent in this too, in the fear of difference.
Yeah, I'm just saying
MAGAs, the deplorables, and then this and that. Right? I would say that it's not xenophobia though, right?
Well,
it's not fear of an outside influence coming into the country and subverting it, right?
Well, maybe not outside, but they would point to internal differences, possibly Christophobia. Sometimes I hear a lot of that, like white evangelicals are the problem. Just also, this is this is just politics as usual in party politics. And I'm not willing to say that like English politics and Canadian politics and US politics are fascistic by nature because there's an us versus them in a party system. I think that that's just how it's going to be emergent. I don't consider that fascistic at all, in fact.
There's a difference between us versus them and what we have right now. I mean, that's why I'm kind of happy that you and I from opposite ends are not at each other's fucking throats and just insulting each other yet, right?
Well, the far I get along better with the far left than I do Democrats.
Yeah, I bet you do. I do better. I do better with people on the right than I do Democrats. So how do you feel about that?
At least far leftists are like, if the right wing goes hang them and it's the right people, the far leftists are like, yeah,
get the guillotines out, bro. Yeah, let's do it again.
So there's at least something to be said there, right?
But I would say that there's a reasonable argument to be made here, though, that he's xenophobic. A lot of these last couple of campaigns acquiescing that the Democrats ran on the same bullshit oh, the Mexicans and South Americans and Central Americans are all they're coming here, they're taking our jobs, they're pouring over the border.
Yeah, I'm willing to
It's a
cede.
crime wave. It's
Yeah, I'm
this,
willing to
that, right?
cede those points. I just don't think that it's fascist. I think that it's just an emergence of party system politics. It has
Maybe you
nothing to do with
disagree with
fascism.
Echo here, like totally, like in terms of
I
like a
don't.
framework.
No, I don't
for
think so.
fascism.
I think that when he's talking about fear of difference, it's moving in as a support structure to these other tenets. So it has to
Sure.
be in unison with these other things in order to fit the criteria. So like if you
Sure.
had fear of difference, with ultra nationalism, with this, with that, you would have a much better case than just fear of difference. So I think out of context, it's not even a fascistic tendency. The us versus them is just politics as usual.
Sure. Well, maybe we'll put a pin in that one. We'll come back and at the end of these and see how it fits with what we decide we agree on and disagree on, if that makes sense.
Sure.
The next one, and I think this is one that we're both going to agree both parties do.
Yeah,
This is
appeal to social
mobilizing
frustration.
middle class frustration and mobilizing that those that feel economically or socially displaced.
Yeah, I'll grant that. No problem.
So fair enough. Next one, obsession with a plot. This is promoting conspiracy theories to justify aggression against perceived enemies. I think he fits this.
That one I'm going to contest a little bit because there's a lot of the supposed Trump conspiracy theories that have proven out to be true.
So which ones?
Well, for instance, did you see today that they prosecuted a person who was recruiting the homeless for voting and paying them money, which is highly illegal? Many people on the Republican side were claiming that Democrats were doing that because of the unsecured ballot during the elections during COVID-19. And they're now, wherever you fall on that, it's the most secure election in history or whatever. There was more fuckery afoot than we were led to believe. That's for sure. How much fuckery was afoot, I don't know. But
I believe that's all. Not to take a page out of your book, but I think that's always true. I don't trust these fucking voting machines. I never have. I'm not involved in the process of removing these things and fucking counting them, nor can I fathom it or watch it happen. And so
and then when it came to like the Steele dossier and what happened with Clinton with Russiagate and all of this shit, there was actually a plot afoot. He was correct. There was definitely a plot, and Carter Page and many other conspirators
were involved. Give me the TLDR on it. Give me the TLDR on it.
Yeah, you remember when Hillary Clinton lost the election and she was pissed off and she was like, "It's Russian interference. The fucking he's colluding with Russia," and then they went through a giant impeachment.
Yeah.
And basically what we found out through the impeachment was that there really wasn't any collusion at all with anybody. And
didn't a number of people from his inner circle go to prison over that?
Yeah, for perjury, not for collusion.
Well, for perjury about what though? Lying about their connections to foreign governments, Russia and Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
That's a connection, right? Like you got people in your inner circle that are doing shadow deals with Ukraine and Russia and shit.
Yeah, that's like the entire political class of DC, though.
Absolutely, we agree. We agree on that. But maybe we're getting closer to the whole system is fucking fascistic.
But there was definitely a plot that was coordinated by the Clinton campaign. Here, I'll give you an example. If you don't believe that, don't you agree that there was a plot by the Clinton campaign to displace Bernie Sanders?
Oh, hell yeah. There was a plot by the Clinton campaign to help Trump.
Yeah, well, they thought that,
and that blew up in their face.
Yeah, in many ways, he would be the weaker candidate, right? So, there were some plots afoot. So I don't think that Trump has gone after things that he considers to be plots that are unreasonable. Maybe sometimes, but not any more than any other politician. And there were actually some plots. So I'm not actually willing to grant that he's obsessed with plots. Like if you've been impeached for bullshit reasons, I would be like, I'll give you an example. If you have let's say you have a chick who says, you're really paranoid about doing business with women. And you're like, yeah, I guess that's true. And then like the next day she sues you for no particularly good reason. Right. Wouldn't you feel like you had some justification? You'd be like, well, that's why I'm fucking paranoid about doing business with women,
sure.
Right.
It starts to become cyclical at that point.
Yeah, so I'm not willing to grant that he's obsessed with plots. I'm willing to grant that there has been a lot of public coverage on a lot of plots, but I don't think he's obsessed with them.
So my argument for this one would be, I think this guy is super arguably obsessed with plots. I mean, to this day, he will truth social constantly about the stolen election, folks. Stolen. Russia still comes out of his head. You know what I mean?
Well, I think he believes it, though. I think he genuinely believes
a plot.
it.
It's an obsession with a plot. That's
well,
what it is.
I don't know if that's obsession if there is a plot. Like, if you believe that there's an actual plot and you're just trying to thwart it or get to the bottom of it, I'm not sure that that's you being obsessed with plots. What this is referencing is, like, you think people are plotting to take you out of power or murder you or do various things like that.
Isn't he paranoid about those things?
Well, the people have tried to kill him
and take him out of power.
Yeah. So that doesn't seem like an obsession with plots. That seems like something else. That seems like plots.
That seems like
there was plots, right? Not an obsession with plots, but actual plots.
What about the conspiracy theory angle? I mean, we all know that COVID-19, that era was absolutely replete with conspiracy nonsense, right?
Yeah, but Trump was in charge of Operation Warp Speed and getting the vaccines and stuff done.
No, I give him that.
So it's not like
bullshit
Trump.
And the
ivermectin turned out did have some good compatibility with helping people who were COVID patients, and it also was helpful for other things as well.
I don't want to get too far afield. But let's just say we politely disagree on that one. I think he's promoted enough conspiracy theories and showed enough obsession with plots to get to mine. You don't. That's fine. Well, we don't see.
Yeah, I think I would say that Trump is mostly obsessed with plots that are actual plots. Like, there are people who have conspired to kill him and tried. There are people who have conspired to take him out of power and have tried. But I don't think that that's an obsession with plot. Like, if it was the case that people were actually plotting against you, and you were dealing with those plots, you wouldn't consider that an obsession, right? Yeah. And what this is referencing is, like, you're seeing plots everywhere that don't exist. It's almost like a paranoia type of thing. And I'm not willing to grant that one.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
We disagree there. Enemies. This is number, I'm losing count here. 6 enemies?
8. Enemies are at once too strong and too weak.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is the idea, like, they're really stupid but powerful.
Yes. I think that's going on with Iran right now. I don't think it's arguable, right? They're decimated. They're gone, but they're real close to having a nuke. And if that happens, they're going to blow up the whole fucking Middle East. You know what I mean? I feel like this is really an easy one to grant, right?
Yeah, and I think that this is the easiest one to defend, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the idea here, you didn't have the same equalization of power when this is being referenced. So I would agree with you that there's some rhetoric on, oh man, I'm really glad my enemies are super stupid, but they're still dangerous. I don't even consider that to be a fascistic tendency, because you and I probably actually do have enemies that are really stupid, but still also very dangerous.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're talking about, like insane jihadis with a nuke, yeah, that's dangerous, but I wouldn't consider them to be the brightest fellows around.
Sure. So with this one, I've got to stick to my guns on this. I think that this is now, whether or not this is a tactic that's used broadly, and I think it is, I don't really accede that it means too stupid and too strong. This says very explicitly both too strong and too weak.
Yeah.
Right. And so that is really how he has portrayed Iran in this kind of inadvisable, shitty fucking Israeli war that we're all wrapped up in now and paying for. That is really how he's portrayed Iran, in my opinion. And I've been following that news way closer than I follow
hang on,
fascism.
but let's look at the facts. Neither of us support the conflict, right? We can agree on that.
Okay. Absolutely.
But can we also agree that the United States absolutely went through and has pound for pound kicked the holy shit out of Iran? It's not even close, at least militarily.
For yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, but at a great cost, at a tremendous cost to
Well,
our economy and our.
not really.
You
Not
don't think
really a
so?
terribly great cost, no. Well, I mean, again, let's just look at the facts. Again, I'm not supporting the conflict, but in raw facts, the United States' second most expenditure is the United States military. He had a provision for 90 days to basically go blow him up as much as he wanted because he's the president. Under the War Powers Act, he can do that.
Sure.
But as far as the Treasury cost went, it's a drop in the bucket, honestly, in comparison to net social spending and the
Sure,
amount
as
of
well
people,
it should be, right?
yeah, and the
Don't you
amount
think
of
it should be?
people, sure, but the amount of
Okay.
people who were, well, I guess in this case, sure, but the amount of people who we lost it's very minimum. Was it 13, 14 people in totality in comparison to the damage that we've done? It would make me think that the enemy was fairly weak
What if
in
it was a
comparison to
brother
me.
of yours or a best friend of yours
I'm
or
not
something?
making a moral claim that it's right. I'm just giving you the facts. If it's the case
Isn't
that you
one
went,
too many for this stupid and advisable fucking bullshit?
sure, but that's not the point. The point that I'm making is about the facts on the ground. If let's say it was justified somehow to go to war with this nation, like, I don't know, Iran nuked Florida or something, let's just say hypothetically, and in 8 weeks we had decimated the entirety of their fucking navy. I mean, all of it was at the bottom of the sea, and we blew
Sure.
up most of their missile defense systems and killed their leaders and their entire military leadership on top of it. In 8 weeks, you would consider that, and lost 14 men, you would consider that a massive, overwhelming victory, and you would consider that enemy fairly weak.
Oh, if that's all true, why is the strait still closed?
Of Hormuz. So there's a small amount of water in the Strait of Hormuz that belongs to Iran. Most of the ships don't actually navigate through it, but there's a naval blockade, and what they're basically negotiating over is mines more than anything. They
I
lay
know that they
mines
mined
everywhere.
the shit out of it, but right now, if because Trump had a whole plan to have American ships navigate and ferry these big ships through the strait and get the fucking shit flowing again, right? That was
Sure.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. As part of the broader negotiation with Iran, that's correct.
And now it's still closed and no end in sight, right?
Well,
That
but
says
again,
to me that Iran holds some military presence there that we
let's look at
couldn't
the
just stomp
totality
out
of
and
it.
bomb out real quick, right?
Let's pretend that the will against Iran, the American public had the will to go to war with them, right? Like the actual will. They're like,
Yeah.
fucking get them. The Straits of Hormuz would be open tomorrow. And
So you're saying it's
we would blast
political.
them all into fucking, yes, of course it is. And then they would all be blasted into the fucking Stone Age. And I know this because the victory that we had there militarily was overwhelming. So yes, in comparison to us, the Iranian military, though it's the fourth largest in the world, is completely unsophisticated and very weak in comparison to us.
Sure. So I don't know. I guess time will tell. It's really hard for us. I think we're just kind of playing chess on a board that isn't really defined yet. I think once all this is wrapped up and all the stories come out and all the news settles, maybe we could have a more in-depth conversation about that. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around because we've done a lot of unpopular war moves at times when it was like people wanted it done. Like, Vietnam, we escalated Vietnam when pretty much the entirety of the country had started to ask for de-escalation of Vietnam. We did the same thing in Iraq, right?
But Trump's a populist.
Surge.
Yeah, Trump's a populist and he responds to his base.
Well, if he did, he wouldn't have gone in with Israel in the first place, right?
Well, you have to remember that most of the data that these guys have been looking at for the last 3 years showed that Israel is vastly popular, especially among evangelicals, who's Trump's base. If you look at Kufi, for instance, and Christian Zionism, that was a very popular proposition pushed out by Ben Shapiro and many of the Con Inc. guys. And so that was a lot of what motivated Trump's base. So, as far as Trump was concerned and his administration, they're like, well, what was their first clue that we were pro-Israel? I mean, we moved the embassy in his first term, they moved the embassy to Jerusalem, right? I mean, they gave every pro-Israeli signal they possibly could, and they still swept the board. I mean, they crushed Kamala Harris in all the swing states, and it was what was considered a landmark victory. So Trump and his administration, I think they didn't really have their finger on the pulse of just how vitriolic the American public has become towards the ideas of Zionism on the left and the right. And I think they're paying a stark political cost for that now.
And I will give you my cynical leftist view on this. They didn't care. They didn't care. They knew that their base didn't like them following Israel into an inadvisable war. They knew that their base, a lot of them, elected Trump on the no new wars kind of promise, right? They knew this was going to be a stinker, and they didn't care because there's so much. They thought there was so much to gain. What I think happened is that Israel managed to hold out long enough to stall our war machine, right? And now they're holding this Strait of Hormuz hostage because they think they won. And Trump is kind of teeter-tottering on, do I commit boots on the ground to this and fuck my base up even more at this point? Because I really do genuinely believe Trump thought this was going to be a one and done. Bomb Khomeini.
Well,
people rise up. It's the same bullshit with they said with Iraq. We get fucking Saddam, they're all gonna rise up. He forgets that there are people in fucking Iran that don't agree with one another. And there's a military presence, and his brother's ready to just step right in as an Ayatollah. So
there you had a Sunni Shia split, and you had a ground invasion. You had a bunch of other contributing factors to it as well. So here
you have a
though,
loyalist Democratic split. Right?
Yeah,
revolutionary
Iran.
split.
I think Iran is a lot more unified than people want to pretend. But that aside, I agree with you that it was a strategic mistake. I just don't think it was a fascistically strategic mistake. That's all.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see. Pacifism. No, we already did that. No, we did we?
Yes, no, we haven't done. Pacifism is trafficking with the enemy. No,
yes.
Trump's not guilty of that for sure.
Yeah, I will say at this point he's not, but he did say a lot of really suspect shit during this Venezuela operation and during this Iranian thing. I mean, a lot of the treason examples that I could probably go grab would be him calling people treasonous for not backing the United States or not backing his decision to escalate the war.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's the same kind of rhetoric you hear where people are like, isn't it strange that Andrew Wilson's rhetoric lines up with Vladimir Putin's? And I'm like, what the fuck are you even talking about, you fucking crazy fucker, right? It's to me, it's the same kind of shit as that. But I haven't seen any evidence of Trump actually having a belief that pacifism is trafficking with the enemy. I have no real-time examples.
Do you think if I went on a pacifist rant right now and Donald Trump was in the room and I was like, war is murder and Donald Trump is a war criminal and needs to be tried at The Hague and found guilty of war crimes because he's murdering people for no good reason in an unpopular war.
Yeah. I think he would be very upset with you.
He would. Do you think he would call me a traitor?
Maybe. Yeah.
So he does have a belief that pacifism is treason, right?
No, that wouldn't be a belief that pacifism is treason. That would be a belief that you are, in some way moving against the American government to aid and abet the enemy, which would be constitutional treason. Well, that's actual constitutional treason.
Who's the enemy in this?
It would be whoever the declaration of the enemy of the government is.
Right, but there hasn't been a declaration yet. Like we don't get
no. I mean, no, there's definitely been. I mean, we didn't have sanctions on Iran pre-Trump because they were our buddies. That's not.
No, I know, but that's not a declaration of war. That's not a formal declaration.
Yeah, but you don't need a declaration of war. Yeah, but you don't need a declaration of war to have an understanding of an adversarial relationship or an enemy relationship. Just because you're not at war with them doesn't mean they're your friends. Like, we're not at war with North Korea, but they're definitely our enemies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess maybe we disagree, but only slightly there. I don't think it fits. I don't think it's like a with a bullet.
Yeah. It's not.
So next one, contempt for the weak. I think he fits this one. In his rhetoric, I think he fits it in policy. Anytime you're cutting social security or rating Medicare or Medicaid, shutting down social programs and closing down educational programs and stuff like that. Anytime you're doing that, it shows, I think, sneering contempt for the weak. It's like ripping a blanket off of a homeless guy while he lays there shivering.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
really
gonna have to give you the hard nay on this one. So
okay. Fair enough.
When you're talking about contempt for weak people, like I may not want my tax paid dollars to go to publicly funded orphanages. I don't think that that's because I hate orphans. I think it's because I think that Catholic charity groups and Christian charity groups did a better job than government orphanages do. So that wouldn't, but that's not me being contemptible or hating orphans. It's the opposite. It's like, it's just not a good idea from my view. I don't think that a lot of the social safety nets and a lot of the things that we find out are paid for through social safety nets. I think people get very pissed off about it. And,
Sure.
so I don't think that that's them having contempt as much as it is them saying, hey, wait a second, there's a fairness issue here, or there's a problem here that doesn't make any sense, or just plainly, I don't want my money to go to that. Like people who say, I don't want my money to go to condoms in Nigeria. Maybe you can make the case that, well, condoms in Nigeria help with the AIDS crisis. And maybe you'd even be right that condoms in Nigeria do help with the AIDS crisis. But
Yeah.
for people who don't want their money to go to that, it's not because they're like, it's because I fucking hate Nigerians. It's because they want the money to be spent on their own local country. They don't want bad things to happen to
Yeah.
Nigerians.
Yeah.
They just want good things to happen to their people groups.
When you say the same thing about this, we have to stop the nukes and the liberation of the Iranian people and saving Israel type of rhetoric that we're hearing now, right?
As contempt for the weak? No, I don't think that's contempt for the weak.
Well, it's contempt for the majority, right?
What do you mean?
The majority of people don't support this war.
That's
We
well,
are
true.
the weak. We are the weak.
I think that you're stretching there a little bit. You're kind of reaching a little bit to try to make it fit the narrative, right?
But maybe you know what,
Yeah.
you got a little bit of a stretch, but
Yeah.
whatever.
It's a
I'm
little
throwing
bit,
it out there.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch to meet the narrative. It's like I don't think I would think actually the majority is the strong, right? Because if you live in a democracy or republic, the majority are the people you want to watch out for because they're the ones who are going to fuck your whole political party up
Is
come the
that
next
true
election
anymore?
cycle. Yeah, I think it's still true. Yeah.
Isn't it just a ping pong game though? Because I agree with you. The next electoral cycle, the Republicans are going to take a drubbing, right? But then after that,
Well, hang on.
You don't think
maybe so? No. Well, I do think so, based on historic data that they will. But
sure,
they might have better chances than you think. And it's not because people love Republicans. It's just Democrats are that fucking bad.
I was going to say
they're just so fucking
pathetic.
bad. They're so bad, dude.
They're absolutely so unlovable, so pathetic. There's not a spark of fucking likability in any of them.
They're just the fucking worst. So because of that, it's like, I think they do. I think they still do kind of fear the majority. Yeah, I don't think that's even if they didn't, that would still be stronger than the not majority.
Right.
Well,
if there's any modern political party that could lose to Trump and the Republicans in this political climate, it's the Democrats, baby. Yeah. I'll give you that. But so I think historically speaking, they're about to lose some seats, about to lose some governorships, maybe some state houses and stuff. It's not going to look good, is what history tells us. But what history also tells us is that after 4 years or 4 to 8 years of a Democratic presidency or a Democratic kind of led government, people are going to be sick of that shit, and the Republicans are going to sweep back in.
And they'll switch to moderate Republicans, actually, which sucks. But yes. So that one, I don't think we got contempt for the weak. I think number 11, everyone's educated to become a hero. You just have to kind of flat out concede to me.
Yeah. I wish. I mean, I kind of wish that this one was true. Like, educated to become a hero in my mind means well educated. You know what I mean? You can't really become a hero without knowledge. But yeah, selective populism. What do you think about this?
Well, hang on. 12 is machismo.
Oh,
right?
sorry, I skipped
Yeah.
machismo. This one you got to give to me.
Kind of, but remember the qualifier and disdain for women? Remember I told you my biggest problem with Trump, he doesn't have enough disdain for women.
Okay, fair enough. I know. I've heard you say that before.
I would be happy if Trump, like, I would be happy to give you this one, except that Trump fucking doesn't have any disdain for women. He has them all over his administration, and the dumbest ones possible, too. It's not like they're the smart ones, they're the dumb ones.
Well, you and I might be able to have this disdain for women conversation at DebateCon coming up on this January 26th in Dallas, Texas.
So I think we split this one. There's a lot of machismo. There's a lot of machismo, but not enough. But not a lot of disdain for women.
Okay, fair enough. Selective populism. This is claiming to represent a unified will of the people, dismissing individuals' rights.
Yes, I would say that Trump is definitely a selective populist. Yeah, I would just grant you that one.
And in good faith for that, I would say that this is also one that we could apply to the Democrats most of the time.
Just
right?
Everybody.
Everybody in the modern political systems, right? And then Newspeak is the final one.
That doesn't apply to Trump at all.
MAGA, all of these kind of little nicknames.
Those were things that were given
people.
Well, those are things given to him. You know, like the MAGA movement wasn't really coined by Trump. It's more of a media term.
Well, it was coined by Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, but it
was Ronald Reagan's campaign slogan.
Yeah,
right?
But I mean, MAGA wasn't though. When you're talking about like the MAGA movement,
right?
That was something that's kind of more of a media phenomenon. Yeah, Trump. Yeah, it's true. Trump gives his like political opposition nicknames, right? But it's not newspeak, and not in the fascistic sense anyway, where they're like the fasci and the right act will paradigm and weird shit like that. He doesn't do any of that shit. He just calls like women ugly pigs and stuff like that. But it's not, it's not newspeak for sure.
Sure. I don't think he fits this one super, super tightly. Yeah. I do think that there is a new way that the right talks as a result of the Trump era.
I would say it's just Zoomer speak.
A lot of it is. Yeah. Or old MAGA boomer speak as well. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm not sure it's new speak.
True. So it looks like just in general, we agree on some, we disagree on some, but what we do agree on is he fits some of these points, some of them more neatly than others.
Yeah, but can we agree that like most of these politicians meet a lot of these? The biggest problem with Echo's criteria, and the reason I wanted to walk through them, or I didn't have a problem walking through all of them, I've done this before, is it's kind of a self-refutation because they kind of apply to all governments. When you start to break them down, they kind of apply to every governmental system which exists. And even if we were to grant all of these were true, that still wouldn't actually make it a fascist nation. They wouldn't have corporatism in it, wouldn't have a lot of the key criteria. But even these, we can't even agree. And outright, the ones that we do agree to, that I concede to you, you outright concede as many to me is not true.
Oh, so absolutely.
It just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't seem.
I made a better argument than you did.
Yeah, no problem. It just doesn't seem that Trump's much of a fascist here, man. Now you can say maybe he's an authoritarian, or he wants to be a king, or maybe you just think he's a fucking jerk. I mean, I think that those are all fair, right? Fair critique. If you're like Andrew, I think Trump's a fucking jerk and he's a dickhead. Sure. I'd be like, okay, at least, I mean, I can wrap my head around that. He is kind of a jerk, right? Yeah. But fascist? I don't think so. I think that's just a rhetorical device ultimately.
So from my perspective at the beginning of this in my intro, when I talked about it being arguable to colloquially call him a fascist, to show that he may have fascist intent.
Yeah, but then you kind of refute that, because if you say, well, colloquially he's a fascist, but I actually have specific criteria and he doesn't meet it, well then, because like you agree with me, nobody knows who the fuck Umberto Eco is. Nobody on planet Earth. So if you're appealing to specific criteria of Umberto Eco, you can't say colloquially this is what people think, because they don't even know who the fuck Eco is.
Well, I used Eco as a framework. right?
But that's what I'm saying. You can't
Sure,
appeal to the
I get what
framework.
I get what you're saying. That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
So it's like either the framework is true and that's what a fascist is, or colloquially, we just mean like whenever we say stormtrooper or Nazi or fascist, we're pointing at a guy we don't like and it doesn't have specific criteria.
Well, you
Like,
know, I thought I knew we weren't going to have time to go through different. There's a 10-point framework by another scholar.
yeah, you
And
have the major scholars like Stanley, Griffith. They disagree on various points, even amongst themselves, like scholars do. I think Griffith is more comprehensive than Stanley is.
Yeah. How do you feel about Echo's 14? Just in general, as a framework
I
for talking about
think that they're
fascism?
self-refuting, because I could grant all of them as being true in a framework and it still wouldn't be a fascist government necessarily. It could be, but it's not like these conditions are met, so necessarily now it's a fascist state, because it doesn't have things in it that are key. Like, it doesn't have corporatism, which is a key portion of fascism. It doesn't have the control matrices, which are necessary for sectored economies. Like, there's big problems with it. But even kind of granting all of the ones as we go through it, Trump doesn't even fit a lot of these. And even the ones he does,
Granted,
it's just like, well, kind of maybe if we apply other characteristics to it, maybe, you know?
he fits it. He doesn't fit all of them neatly. He fits some of them pretty neatly, but he doesn't fit. Say some of them he doesn't fit at all.
Yeah.
Especially after talking to you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm always willing to fucking assimilate new information.
Yeah, well, look, I
you know,
watched your debate.
I think I would still make the argument that the average uninformed idiot isn't super wrong if their intent is, because I don't think if I call you a Nazi, which I'm not, right?
Yeah,
if I were to call you a Nazi, I don't mean you're goose stepping down the street with a Hitler mustache, Sieg Heiling, right? I'm kind of talking about you have tendencies towards that. You're a racist. You're kind of a white nationalist, right? That sort of thing.
Yeah, but doesn't that
it's defensible? The use of fascist against Donald Trump is defensible in that way.
But doesn't that make my point for me that what you mean by it is just I don't like you? Because if you say, yeah, because if you're just like, well, Andrew's a Nazi, let's say, you're like, that guy's he's a fucking Nazi, and someone's like, really? Does he follow any of the ideology of Nazism? And you're like, well, no, maybe some of it, but not most of it. But you know, like he doesn't want to trans the kids, man, and that's what Nazis do. It's like that seems like you're making a different argument altogether. That seems more like you go, well, I disagree on these points, and so I'm going to call this guy this name because it's a politically loaded name that has a lot of baggage with it. It's like an example might be, have you ever said, or have you ever watched Seinfeld?
Yeah, of course.
You remember the soup Nazi? Right? The guy was not a Nazi at all, right? When we say he was a soup Nazi, what we're pointing out there is, and he even had the mustache, just because, well, why shouldn't you have the mustache as the soup Nazi? They're pointing out there is like he's controlling, right? He completely 100% is going to get his way. He's this, but they didn't actually mean he's a Nazi, right? So if you're saying colloquially, they use that term against him because they didn't like how he did business, right? That's actually what happened. They didn't like how he did business. They didn't like how he treated people. So he's a Nazi. And it's like, okay, got it. That makes sense to me. And if that's all you mean by it, sure. But most of these people on the left, that's not what they mean by it. They mean he's an actual fascist. He actually engages in fascism and this kind of thing. And it's just
when you say most of these people on the left, I'm sorry to interrupt. When you say most of these people on the left, do you mean the like podcastery kind of like online discourse type of people you bump into, or do you just mean broadly?
Well, the only way that I can or a Democrat is saying is based along what they're saying on social media and collective groups. I don't have any real other way to gauge that besides polls. So if I'm looking at collective, like collectivized Democrat posting or leftist posting on social media, they definitely call this guy a fascist all the time. And will even come into my comments and say, you're wrong. He's an actual fascist. Here's why. And then they list just fucking complete nonsense. And so I do think that they believe that he's a fascist, but at the same time, they don't seem to have any criteria for it, and it usually comes down to they're just vibing out that they don't fucking like him. I think they'd have a better argument because the right wing's actually able to mobilize on this, right? They call you fascists, they call
Right.
you Nazis, they call, you know what I mean? And they
Sure.
do say that.
Oh,
I think if
absolutely. But
leftists were just like,
in the same way that the
yeah,
left mobilizes when, the right does its kind of anti-left stuff.
sure, the anti-woke stuff or whatever it
Right.
is. But I'm just
Right.
pointing out when they're like, that guy's a Nazi, that guy's a fascist, that actually mobilizes the right wing. And they're like, see
Yeah.
what they call us, see how they vilify us. Like, my grandfather fought in World War II, and this guy's calling me a not, like, it pisses them off.
Of
But it
course.
seems like they use that loaded language specifically to piss them off, um, because they don't like them rather than they actually think that they're Nazis or something like this, you know?
Sure. Sure. Um, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If the average person, because I agree with you, I made the same arguments, maybe not the same arguments, but I was telling people, stop with this Trump as a fascist, stop with this Trump as a Nazi shit.
Yeah.
This was during his last campaign. Because I genuinely believe I would have been making a different argument. I would have been way less alarmist about it during Trump's first presidency. I thought he was, from my perspective, not to, be disrespectful or whatever. I just thought he was kind of a bumbling president, kind of bad, kind of wrapped up too much in media and interpersonal gossip and all that crap. It just seemed like he didn't get much done of note. Biden was a fucking disaster. And now Trump 2 is here. And during that campaign for his second presidency, I was just like you. I was saying, stop this shit. Fascist doesn't mean I don't like what the fuck you have to say. It doesn't mean that I disagree with you.
Yeah, it has some real meaning, and it's
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's loaded meaning too, right? Like, if you call somebody a fascist, you're bringing up you're putting the sins of the Holocaust at their feet, right? You're putting the
To a
sins
certain extent, yeah.
of mass genocide at their feet. You're doing when you use the loaded language of calling somebody that, right?
But it
So,
changed for me. It changed for me on January 6th. I stopped using that rhetoric and I started considering the fact that maybe there was fascism afoot here. It kind of felt like an attempted brown shirt kind of, let's subvert the democratic process at the last second and, physically coerce the vice president of the United States to decertify an election so that they can recount it. And the storming of the Capitol is just harrowing to watch.
yeah, I understand. I at least understand that argument. I don't agree with it, right?
Sure.
But I at least understand it. I understand the perspective of, look, that was a scary moment in American history. That, I thought, hey, we could be at a real impasse here that could potentially lead to civil war.
Yeah.
Like, this is potentially a massive problem, and I can at least understand the argument from the left why they think that way. It's just that American political violence is a thing which we've been dealing with forever. You
Oh,
just
yeah.
usually don't see it that much from the right wing.
I mean,
You just
Trump's been
usually
shot
don't.
at. It's a current American tradition. I do think it should be decried, though. I don't think that makes it right.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
I
think
mean,
political violence,
but generally it is
unless
decried,
you're
right?
talking about the rebellion and the revolution that started this weird experiment we're all a part of, right? I think we would probably both agree that that was at least justifiable in terms of separating us from a dictatorship, a foreign king that had no real investment in where we were living, right?
Well, I think the American Rebellion had a lot to do with special interests again, actually.
Oh, it did. I mean, they
But
were all rich
yeah,
landowners,
I
and
think it had a lot to do with special interests again, but I'm not upset about it. You know what I mean? Like, in retrospect, while I know it's not actually the truth that we rebelled against England because it had a king and we just really liked freedoms and stuff, and I know that that narrative is bullshit, I still like believing it. It's still a
yeah.
fun narrative to believe, right?
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's at the heart of all my stuff. They say the heart of a cynic is kind of a disappointed optimist. And that's
Yeah, yeah,
me.
sure. Well, from my perspective, it's like, look, that's a cool story, and if it helps
Right.
people with patriotism and it helps move through their patriotic duty towards their nation, I'm kind of all for it. I'm just kind of okay with it.
Sure.
But that story itself it's a bedtime story, right? And the way that it's taught in school is
How
it's
are they
actually not
teaching
the case.
January 6th? How are they teaching Jan 6 in school?
Well, I'm to say it's a
Well,
bedtime
everything
story.
is how they're taught about anything in
Yeah.
school is a total bedtime
Yeah, so
story.
I at least understand that. If you were to say, okay, I can at least point to J6 and say I consider that to be a fascistic action,
Yeah.
I think I would even grant that.
Sure.
I still don't think it makes him a fascist. It doesn't
Sure.
meet the ultimate criteria for this stuff. And so
So
if that's the case, yeah, go
you're a
ahead.
strict definitionalist. I can tell that from your
Well, this time I
other.
made sure we didn't do that, right?
No, you didn't. And no,
Yeah.
I'm just saying from watching your other engagements on this, I can see that that is important to you. And I'm not. I think that language is this kind of mutable and evolving thing. And
But I agree with
Umberto
that.
Eco himself
I agree with
says
that too.
as
I'm
much.
just
Yeah.
the reason I think in debates or even in conversations semantics are so important is because we often mean different things by the words that we say. And a lot of
Sure.
times people end up spending an hour talking past each other and equivocating because they don't actually even understand what's being said to them.
Sure.
A good example of this that I can give you, if you were having a debate about SA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems pretty clear, right? That guy
It
over
does.
there essayed that chick. Don't you think that that's wrong? And you're like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, of course that's wrong, right? But what
Yes.
if the criteria for SA was like your wife woke you up with a blowjob? Then suddenly it's like, well, wait a second here.
Sure. Right.
Well, wait a second here. I'm
Right.
not so sure that I'm willing to say that that's SA, lady, right?
It does depend upon implied consent though, right? So if I've said, if that happens once and I tell my wife like, hey, this is a little weird because I was dreaming about somebody else and I just, can we not like, you know what I mean? I was dreaming about my mom and I wake up to this. Can we not do that? And then she does it again. That would be SA in my opinion. But yeah, just the simple act of
maybe.
feeling.
Sure, yeah, maybe it would. But there's people out there who think that whether or not, like you told, like let's say you woke up the next morning and you were like, man, you can do that anytime you want. That was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And then she did it again. They would consider that SA. There's people
No.
who could, but there
Yeah,
are people.
that's ridiculous.
But I'm telling you right now, there are people who consider
I
that
believe you.
SA. So for me, when I'm talking, remember, not every person I talk to is a particularly good faith interlocutor who is willing to deal with me in a professional manner.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm the same with me.
So diving into the meaning of the things that they have to say, I think is really important because otherwise we end up talking about completely different things that are irrelevant. Here, you seem like you're so good faith that I could just kind of take at face value. You mean things in the same way I mean.
I did what I wanted to do. I got to pick your brain with this framework. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And I feel like we didn't come out the other end, boxing and doing this kind of like slinging insult shit. Not that wouldn't have made for some great clips for James. You know what I mean? Maybe one day we can really strangle each other on something.
Maybe if it was a different topic, we would get a little more brutal with it. But honestly, I think I tend to match energy, and so.
Same.
Usually, if you see me really going hard at a person, it's because they had it coming,
Well, that was one of the things, and I don't mean to poop talk anybody, you know what I mean? But one of the guys that you faced came with such like aggro, angry energy from the start. I was like, I'd watched a couple of years already, and I was like, man, this is going to be a shit flinging fest from the jump, and it was.
Yeah. Well,
so
I'm not good
at
I'm not good at taking shit, right? But I do enjoy genuinely having good faith debates across the aisle. And I always have. It's just that, it's not always going to be the case that everybody shows up with the purest of intentions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not the most debate prepped guy. I don't do debates usually, but I do
you
debate.
prepped fine for this one.
Well, I did okay. I mean, but I didn't spend. I can tell some of these dudes that you're kind of going against. I kind of mentioned it. I think over prepped would be how I would describe them. Where they're so ready to talk on script.
Yeah. Well, look, I have
you are able to
a
just
lot of
stymie it.
experience. I have a lot of experience debating. I'm really.
Well, you run a thing, right? You run a course.
Yeah, I'm real good at it, and I have been, and I mean, I've been at the highest echelon on my end, at least this is what I'm told, for years. So I
Yeah,
understand why it is that people want to make sure that they're prepped very heavily for debate with me, and I prep very heavily for debate the other direction.
sure.
But I think most people would find me completely reasonable if they just weren't fucking lunatics. I mean,
Sure, I get you. No, I get you. I mean, there are definitely some things I've seen, obviously you're a well-known dude, and I've seen some clips of you that we'd probably fight it out about or whatever. But what does that have? What are the relevance of those things in this moment? You know what
nothing,
I mean? Nothing,
zero.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
And I
nothing.
definitely, whatever. We had a pleasant little thing here so far, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing when
How
people
could
on
you
different
talk
sides.
to a Nazi in a pleasant way? How could you talk to an evil?
Well, isn't the big thing like, wouldn't you love to bring leftists over to your way of thinking?
I think
Like,
I
wouldn't you love
do.
it?
Yeah,
Well,
I
yeah, no,
think
like you would love it if most leftists moved, right?
I would love it if
And I
most debates stuck to
and
the
I'm the
topics.
same
Yeah,
way. I would love it if
yeah,
people on the right would move a little left, right? And
yeah.
how do you get there without conversation?
You
You
can't.
don't.
Yeah. And you
So
can't
I
get
don't
there
fear
without
it.
rhetoric. You can't get there without vibes. You can't get there without arguments. You can't get
Right.
there without any of that. So I like to talk to and debate with all kinds of people. I don't care if it's Dave Smith or it's a member of the Trump administration or it's a famous person or it's just some random guy in a Discord. I like to debate
Some
with all
fat
types.
Paul dork. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
or whoever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Right,
Because
right.
people have lots of interesting things to say that I never thought about, and
We agree on that.
yeah, and I think
When I was
yeah,
prepping for this, I do streams and stuff, and I was telling my people, that watch me, I was like, I'm not. I hope that I get to pick this guy's brain, learn a little bit about what makes him tick through the lens of this debate topic,
yeah,
and I hope I can do the same for him. And I feel like I accomplished that. You know what I mean? We accomplished that together, which is
cool.
cool.
Well, good man. I appreciate the good faith debate.
Do we have questions, or is it time for that, James?
We do. And it was an amazing debate. We have lots of questions, folks. Before I jump into these, which we're going to move fast, indeed, DebateCon 8, July 25th and 26th, Dallas, Texas. You don't want to miss it. Grab your tickets now. We are expecting to sell out. We've compared to any DebateCon in the past. I'm not joking. This one is off the charts more popular. We have included new heavyweights such as Godlogic Apologetics, Trent Horn, many others. It is going to be off the charts, folks. Get your tickets while you still can. With that, we're going to jump into these questions. Thank you very much. First one from Angel Quill says, is fascism inherently wrong or sometimes necessary?
I wouldn't say that it's inherent. I don't think of government systems in terms of moral propositions. I don't think a person can push that a fascistic government is inherently immoral. They'd have to be pointing to some sort of immoral policy imposed by said government. So if you had a king, let's say, in a monarchy, and he was a good king, and he took really good care of his subjects or something like this, you couldn't say that just the moral proposition that there was a king isn't in and of itself immoral. That seems absurd to me.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have to take the other side of that. The idea of one autocrat dictating everything while living in opulence, and I'm mucking, a pigsty out, and for it being kind of inherently bad, right?
I not really. I don't see why. Like,
Would you like to be the pig farmer?
sure, I would probably hate it, right? But
Yeah, me too.
but that doesn't make it an immoral proposition. So, I was raised in a very poor household. Um, I mean, very very poor household. And I mean, whose fault is that? Is that am I supposed to go to my parents and be like, well, having me was immoral? That seems like a kind of an absurd proposition to me, right? But I
Sure.
could go to them and say, there were actions that you took that were immoral,
What if
So
both of your parents were crackheads and they
yeah,
had
so
you
I
on a
would point
whimsy
out,
whim? Would that be
yeah,
immoral?
I would point out that, well, I don't think that them having me would be the immoral part. But I would say that if they like smoke crack and all of that while I was in the womb, I would make a
Sure.
case for how they did a bunch of immoral things. Yeah.
Sure.
But the moral
Absolutely.
proposition itself, if you're born a prince, that's no more your fault than being born a farmer. You're
Well,
as
what's
much
your
a
fault?
part of a
What is your
political
fault
game.
though? What is your fault if you're born a prince, right?
Yeah.
What is your fault is choosing to hold that power rather than
Yeah,
give it
but
up and give it to the people,
I don't
right?
know. What like why if you look at if you want to look at things through that sort of propositional lens, that seems silly to me because let's say that you did. Let's just say like you were a feudal prince in Hungary and you were like, okay, I'm just going to give all governance over to illiterate peasants who who can't read, they can't write, they have no marketable skills whatsoever,
Well, what if you
and
did
we're
a
just going to hope for the
transitional?
best. You know what I mean?
We're gonna
That seems like a much more immoral proposition to me.
Well, we're going to create a parliamentary system by which these illiterate peasants hear these guys speak and elect, people to represent them at the parliament, and then I mean, that is something that could conceivably be done. And then if the people screwed themselves, then so be it. They did it with a little bit of democracy. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I'm all about fuck
Well,
around and find
that
out.
doesn't seem silly to you, like it especially through you're looking at it through a present lens. It's almost a fallacious way of thinking, a presentism fallacy. The entire idea is that you're looking at a nation which was experimental, and through a sequence of experiments, they were able to negotiate out things like checks and balances. And they were also completely isolated from the rest of the world by an
Sure.
ocean. So they had lots
I
and
get what you're saying. I'm
yeah, they
assuming the political development that wouldn't have existed at that point that happened at. You're right. You're absolutely right.
yeah, and
It's a silly proposition. You're right.
yeah, okay,
You got it?
yeah, okay, fair enough.
I'll make it easy for you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
This one from Drew says, Paul, dark with red background is copyrighted. This
Is
one
it?
from
Oh no.
afraid Andrew trademarked it, about a year ago. This one from Big
Shit.
League Drew says fascism is nothing more than a merger of state and corporate interests, and that is the current admin. Sorry,
That's
not sorry.
well, that's not actually the case. State, if you say fascism is the merging of state and corporate interests, then the second the government gives you a student loan, that's fascism. So,
Well, how
or
so?
the
Like
second the
explain them.
government pays for your health care, that would be fascism. The second the government provided you with food stamps to go get food from a corporation, that would be fascism. It's not the merger of state and corporate interests. It's an idea of the merger of corporatism itself, which is utilizing different economic sectors and then applying oligarchy to each of those sectors for the purpose of having large trade syndicates not swallow small trade syndicates.
We talked earlier about wanting to get moneyed interests out of politics, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And so, if it is true that, fascism is the collision of government and corporation, I think you could make a really cogent argument that that has happened, right? Like, look at let's do it from a lens that I know you'll agree with. Somehow, the Kamala Harris campaign came up with $1 billion and blew it on one of the most historically retarded campaigns that's ever happened in the history of history.
Should have just spent $50 and driven to Rogan.
Exactly. And that's the thing is like, when that amount of stupidity is afoot, how do you know what I mean? How do you make the argument otherwise?
Well, I think that that's bad, objectively bad. I just don't think it's fascism. If you want to just apply, the government notoriously does things badly. They're just not very good ultimately at conducting business at all. And there's no Western government which is particularly skillful at this art, the same way that private interests generally seem to be. So most governments tend to lean, even the Canadian healthcare system, they have private healthcare, which is supposedly illegal there all over the state, and they just don't enforce against it. And it's
Right.
because they can
But
deliver it way quicker. So
the point
yeah,
is that it came right out of people's pockets
yeah,
and went right into the hands of corporations. We know. I
100%.
mean, there are videos of lobbyists cutting checks on the. There's a famous video of a tobacco lobbyist cutting checks on the House floor. You know, just like, hey, let me get your vote. Let me get your vote. Here you go, $1,000, $1,000. Right, that level of stinking corruption shows to me that corporations and government have become so inherently mixed. I mean, you know this. A lot of these people that retire out of the House or Senate go straight to K Street and lobby the same body that they were in using all of their political connections
Well, I think
to
the
get a
government
corporation a seat,
well, I
basically.
think initially the government of the United States was set up very much like a corporation.
Absolutely,
It
we
was set
agree.
up with a president, and then it had, a Congress and Senate. You could almost say were shareholders. They had a nuclear option to remove the president of the company if they absolutely needed to. They have all sorts of corporate bylaws, and this it was set up more like a corporation than it was set up like a you know a democracy or a pure democracy. The
Sure, but there
republic
was no
was.
corporation yet. That language and that complex development of what you would actually call a corporation hadn't really come about at that
Yes, it
time.
had. Oh yeah, long before we ever
You
founded
think?
as a nation, corporations were, and the idea of corporations was very much alive and kicking.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah,
The more
the
you know.
in fact, a lot of the language in the Constitution, you might even consider it more akin to corporate language, which makes sense because the people working on it were lawyers.
Contractual language, right?
Yeah, yeah, they were lawyers, right? And so you see it almost like lawyers speak for the time.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
from Hitatsasu says Andrew's criteria for fascism is never going to be met. Corporatism is not a necessary tenet, e.g., Greek and Argentinian juntas, and even Italy over time.
Well, no, Italy, yeah, Italy over time, that's true, but Mussolini was dead. So I don't know what he's talking about. And then next, you have the next kind of closest I'd look at would be Franco's Spain. And they did open it up eventually to private capital and they stopped being fascist. But I do think that corporatism is, if it's not necessary, then I don't know what is necessary because that seems to be the thing which makes the delineation in the ideology complete, at least from my view.
You got it.
I,
Big League
uh,
Drew says to Andrew, you might know what a solenoid is, but a flux capacitor is a wiring schematic of kind of stator.
Of kind of stature, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, when I use the flux capacitor in my fucking DeLorean, I got to tell you that I've never one time gone back and made out with my mom. I just want to put that out there propositionally. So,
can I ask you what it's like to be at DeLorean level?
weren't those the stupidest looking cars?
They were,
They're the
but
dumbest
they
looking
were
fucking
but they
cars.
were kind of cool if you were a kid growing up and watching Marty McFly, you know, fly one back to the future, you know.
True.
Hmm. This one from Ibrashat says, good debate, guys. Andrew W., like always, I would like to see Andrew Wilson debate the amazing atheist. Wow.
Oh, well, I don't know if you know who he is. I assume you probably have heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my team reached out to him a while ago
Oh, really?
to set
Well,
up.
I'm his co-host on
Oh,
his current podcast. So, yeah, I mean, if you're interested in talking to the guy, I can probably ask him if he's
sure,
interested.
sure.
He does these types of things. It'd be kind of a cool one.
I
Sure.
remember his old videos being really fucking funny. So
Oh
that's what I
yeah.
remember. I
Yeah.
remember back when because he was around when the internet was really kicking off, right? When
Well,
you
when
had
YouTube was
yeah,
really
the
kicking
YouTube
on.
stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
And
was too. I mean, that's how we met.
dude, you
I
could get away with a lot more shit then.
it was like the Wild West, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's all fucked. But
He had
whatever.
It sucks
mentioned
now, yeah.
a long time ago, I thought he said he was maybe going to have a book come out, and I could have sworn he maybe mentioned you, Andrew. But we'll see. This one from, do appreciate it. He just says, so the actual definition of fascist means nothing. It's all about Paul's fifis. This is earlier,
Yes.
before they knew it. So they say when words lose their meaning, people stop being able to communicate truth, which is what Paul has just shown.
Well, let me be
Wha-
gracious on behalf of Paul a little bit, and then I'll be gracious to myself a little bit too. So
Sure.
Paul is right that there are all sorts of words which are used colloquially, like cool is a great example of one.
Right.
Hey, that's cool, obviously doesn't mean that's cool outside. And it
Right.
is possible that you could have a colloquial use of something like fascist or Nazi, but we're definitely not there yet. There's a ton of loaded baggage that comes with those words when they're used in a political sense. Now, if I were to look at my wife and I was like, I wanted the more fucking spaghetti sauce, you bitch. And she's like, fine, you fucking Nazi. I'll go get you more spaghetti sauce.
Right.
That would be the colloquial use, I guess. But when used in a political apparatus, that seems like something entirely different altogether.
Sure. But I also think that there are layers of people that you're talking to. You're talking to the housewife that calls her husband a Nazi because he gets mad about the tomato sauce, or are you talking to like the little dude that you debated recently? You know what I mean? Kind of like over prepped or whatever, but knows his shit enough to know a little bit about fascism, Mussolini.
Sure.
He's got a framework like I did, and he presented it right. You think that those people, even when we agreed on a couple, 2, 3 of these
I think
criteria,
when he says fascist, that he means that you're a continuation of white nationalist ideology and you want to exterminate people who disagree with you. I do genuinely think that most lefties, when they use that loaded terminology,
that's what they mean.
they do tend to intentionally mean that.
Okay, well, I can't speak for them, but that's definitely not what I mean.
I don't think it is what you mean.
Yeah,
But you
for
also
sure.
were very good faith and were like, look, I have a more colloquial sense for this thing. And it often does just coincide to like, I just disagree with you and you're doing things which are authoritarian that piss me off. And I think that
Sure.
that's fair, you know?
Sure.
You got it. This one from Faith Over Fear says, just want to say thank you, Andrew, for blessing us with your presence on Modern Day Debate once again. Love you and your wife.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
It is
Cool.
nice. We are blessed to have both of our guests. In fact, check out both of our guests in the description box. What are you waiting for? You can hear more where that came from this debate tonight. John Ruck says, fascist, he would keep the strait closed. This one was, I remember this being super paraphrased. They say, weaken all of the East versus, I think they're saying this is better than if they fortified from Greenland to Antarctica, the Western Hemisphere, and the production, South America. Does this make sense? Do you guys understand what this is saying?
Hang on.
Yes, actually.
Hang on. I got a good idea here for a banger. This guy in the chat, he said, Andrew, I know that this guy is super nice and I feel bad about this, but can you be a dick to him anyway? So, all
Well,
right.
you know what? I'm going to reveal something. I'm going to reveal something in lieu of that.
All right.
And this is going to be this. I mean, no ill intent about this.
Okay.
If it went nasty, I got a jar of olives, and I was gonna pop the top on a jar of olives. Okay?
Do it. Okay. And if you did that, I was going to respond by doing that and saying to you, now do 5 fucking push-ups.
Oh, and I would have been wrecked. I'm so glad I didn't go that way. Oh my God. He was prepped.
That's wild.
I love that, dude. I love that. That's great.
John Ruck, just let me know in
Always
chat.
one fucking step ahead of you fucking lefties, okay?
Damn
That's
it.
my job.
Foiled again.
This John Ruck, let me know if you're.
Someone said they didn't hear the pop. All right. You heard the pop there, right?
Wow.
Oh, that was the.
You heard the fucking pop, so shut up,
heard the
you
pop.
fuckers.
I heard it. This one from John Ruck. Let me know in chat if you want me to say that in different wording. The Zucker says, question for PaulsEgo. Can you explain what Kant's categorical imperative is.
This is a reference to a time where I went on Destiny's stream, and he got me heated up about something. I can't even remember what we were talking about. And I said some stupid shit because he was trying to throw some philosophy shit at me, and I was trying to have a more baseline conversation. I said, I've read all philosophical treatises. And he responded to that with, oh yeah, what's Kant's categorical imperative? And I went,
Destiny doesn't know what Kant's categorical imperative is.
He was able to define it right away, but I don't know
because
that
he had it up on his fucking chat GPT. He doesn't
Oh,
fucking
shit.
know.
I like this guy. You know
Destiny
what? Because
doesn't know. He doesn't know shit about philosophy. He's a fucking idiot.
I don't know if that's the truth, but that's what that was a
It's the truth.
reference to.
The last time I had a debate proposition with that moron, I asked him if he would do objective versus I don't remember what the prop was, objective versus subjective something. And he's like, just give me 2 weeks to prep any topic. So I gave him the topic. And then he just pretended like he didn't see that I put out the tweet for the topic. And I was like, come on, dude. He doesn't know anything. Nothing.
Destiny,
Nothing
quit
about
dodging.
philosophy.
Quit dodging, Andrew. Debate this man. Debate this man.
He just wants to come on and do TDS for 2 hours. He wants to be like, oh, yeah, well, how can you say it's on an insurrection? It's like, but if you want to get to the root of what it is that people are talking about, that guy avoids those conversations like the plague.
Gotcha.
This one from Nazier says, wow, that was amazing. Pompish 2.0 says, deep knee bends in the cucumber patch.
Pompish is a friend of mine. That's an inside joke, but yeah, thanks, Pomp.
Can I see the olive jar that you had again?
It's actually it's jalapenos.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes.
See, I didn't
want to send my wife to the store just for the olive bit.
Now, if I had a jalapeno jar, I might have been in trouble there. But you see, I promised myself that no olive jar would ever defeat me again. Okay?
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you, dude.
Jean Thomas says, hey, Paul, it's Jason. Caught you here by sheer coincidence and was surprised you did so well. Good debate.
Oh, that's an old friend of mine. Yeah, thanks, Jason. I guess hit me up somewhere and we'll talk. It's been a while.
Bobby Ballbag says, yes or no, quote, Ronald Reagan made me smoke crack rock.
Well, he's dead now, and you're not going to get any restitution for that, sir. I'm sorry.
This one from Jeremy Solderpot says, Paul, can you do a backwards Hadouken?
These are me. You know what? This is a sign that the Paul people have shown up tonight. So I want to say thank you to the fans that followed the link. This is another meme from my Drunken Peasant show back in the day where I got really mad because my co-host beat me in Mortal Kombat. And I yelled, and I quote, I've been doing a backwards Hadouken since 1992. You can't tell me shit about this game. And so,
you know what makes that funnier?
What
actually makes that funnier is I understand 100% the reference. Yeah. Instead of down forward and down then back. The Y button, you press down back, and that's for the circle kick, you fucking idiot. Yes, what were you thinking?
That's the hurricane
kick.
Hurricane
kick, dude.
You think I don't know how to do it?
Yeah, I think that's a big fail. That's a big F on your part, bro. It's not quite olive jar levels, but it's pretty bad.
It's approaching it. Trust me, the amount of shit I got from it approached olive jar levels, I think.
Bodes well says, props to Paul and Andrew for the good faith debate. It was a nice change of pace. It really was. For Paul, would you consider the reduction of suffrage from our current universal, or is it a non-starter?
You're talking about removing the vote from some segment of society?
Maybe not. Well, actually, yeah, I guess entailed that would be the case. But like, let's say 16-year-olds could vote, and I asked you, would you be willing to raise it to 18? That would necessarily disenfranchise some segment of the population, which would be 16, 17-year-olds, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's the spirit of what he's asking. So if we
what would be the prescription then? You would say raising the age of voting to like 21 or something,
or maybe service-based voting, like you contribute more to the economy than you get out, so you can vote, or maybe You do some sort of public service for a few years, and then you're allowed to vote. Something like this, which doesn't allow people to take your well-informed vote and wipe their ass with it because they get
Okay.
bribes from the government.
Nothing is a non-starter with me. I'm that type of guy. I would love to discuss it. I think we'd need more time. I would say if you're going to hold a gun to my head and say non-starter or not, non-starter for me as presented. But I think we could talk deeper about the implications of that.
I think that leftists, I would think, would want to advocate for that more than anybody. I'm really shocked that they don't, because
Well,
leftists used to be like all about trade unions. They used to be anti-mass migration. Like they used to be fucking. There was some things about old leftists that I had some respect for.
Well, sure. I am actually. So I'm the son of a union president, and so I'm a unionist at my heart. But I also see that I'm also an accelerationist. I see unionization, especially at this point, as far as things have gone. I think it's a bullet on a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You know what I mean? It's not really going to fix the problem at this point. And I'm kind of an accelerationist. I think this government needs to fall and be replaced. The tree of liberty or whatever needs to be refreshed. And because I feel like we've reached a point of stagnation and accumulation of wealth amongst an ever shrinking group of companies who have an ever widening kind of grip on our political system. But that's just my lefty kind of take on it.
Gotcha.
This one from Do Appreciate It Daily Breakfast says, is it easier to speak with Andrew than Destiny?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I had some pleasant conversations with Destiny. I'm not trying to throw dude under the bus or anything. But yeah, because he speaks so fast for me, man. He throws too much. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed.
What about the jaw? What about when he speaks?
Oh, the
meth jaw?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to understand when we're talking about the categorical imperative.
You do that too well.
When you really dive into that. Wait.
Yeah. You do that too well. I had some pleasant conversations with him. I had some real contentious ones as well. And I think, yes, it was easier to have this conversation with Andrew. I think,
he also does the triangles. You ever seen those? The triangles. He's like, oh, like it's just too much. Oh,
the triangles.
I don't understand the triangles.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I don't. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like a weird backwards, like the palm face where you're just like, oh, like this guy is stupid, but they do it the other way. I think it has something to do with ADD or something. I don't know what it is.
Sure.
Amanda says, get in, Paul. We're going grifting. Andrew, can Paul come over for a chill stream sometime?
We're grifting.
Hang on, I'm sorry. What was it? What was the last part of that?
They said, can Paul come over for a chill stream sometime?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having another conversation with Paul down the road about something. Sure. Maybe something that we had a lot more contention over, something like that. So,
sure, yeah, I'd be open to that. You just hit me up on Twitter there. I'm at PaulsEgo, so or X.
Fucking dick, right? I mean, that's just
well. If I was though, there would have been clips on clips from this. You know what I mean? So maybe it's better. Maybe it would be better if I come like a dick. We'll plan it up. We'll grift some money. You know what I mean? I'll be like, okay, I'm going to come at you like this.
No, yeah, if it's pre-planned, it's not fun.
No, you're absolutely right. No, but I mean, I could do a shit fling fest. I mean, if we come with the idea that we're going to like argue in good faith, but also shit fling, I'll do that. I just didn't want to put poop on the drapes here at
Modern Day Debate.
This one's from Welcome to the Jungle says, question for Polluted Paul. The definition of insanity is doing something repeatedly, expecting different results. Why do you continue to believe in something that isn't true? Trump is not a fascist.
You changed my mind. You got me. Okay, that guy flipped me right there. That was the one. I'm sorry, Andrew, you couldn't do it, but that comment right there flipped me. That won the debate. I take it all back.
You didn't see that one coming, did you, fucker?
Boom! Ugh, blindsided, man.
Right.
This one from Bass says, good faith Paul is best Paul. Been a fan since 2016 election night. Loved you in the Drunken Peasants show. Thank you for the great discussion tonight.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. Long time fan there, because that was a long time ago. But yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate all the people that showed up and were generous from my community. Thank you guys. That means a lot to me.
It is cool that I'm glad they mentioned drunken peasants, because for those who might be new to the internet, in the old days, Paul was a part of the drunken peasants. So these old school debates, you had people like G-Man, and it was it's old lore of YouTube. So if you don't know about it, go ahead and look at Ask ChatGPT, and it'll give you the lore behind the drunken peasants and Paul. But Big League Drew says it's a WYE, so this is going back to the flux capacitor. It's a WYE stature diagram. That's how they got the idea for the flux capacitor. Was that like a deleted scene or something? I don't know. Is that in the
Oh, you're
movie?
talking about that. It is a cool little triangle thing with blinking lights on it. And they're saying that that's an actual diagram for something. I think that's a cool bit of trivia. I do want to
Oh.
say too, you know, I am still out there kind of doing it. I do deep fat fried. I'm really bad at always saying what I'm doing because I'm really just here for the talk. I'm a bad shill for myself, but deep fat fried is my current project. You can go find it there on YouTube and Kick. And we do streams and we try and not get filter.
Their fascist filter.
Yeah, their fascist ass filter. I thought when Susan Wojcicki died, that fascism would die with her, but no.
It got a little bit better, but not that much better.
Nope.
That's I am that's right. So I am linking Deep Fat Fried in the description box as well. And folks,
Oh, thank you so much.
you know, Deep Fat Fried is also kind of already moving into that like internet lore, because that's been around for a long time and has been very
Yeah.
popular.
9 years we're coming up on now of that, or 8 years, I think it is.
Damn.
So yeah, that's a long time. And then it's 10 years since I started on the Drunken Peasants. So yeah.
That's a long
Hey, woman,
legacy.
bring me a drink and a pack of smokes. I know you're watching this. I know you're watching.
By the way, I hate you for just flippantly. I assume we're close in age. Do you mind saying your age? I'm 45.
42.
Or 46. Sorry, I'm 46.
I'm 42.
Smoking has had me. If I lost this debate, if you feel I lost this debate, it's because I had to smoke joint after joint to not go and grab my little stash of smokes that I have.
All part of my brilliant strategy. Yes.
Devious.
Yes. When you come across diabolical plots like that, my friend, there's just truly no escape.
I'm becoming a fascist. I have an obsession with this plot now.
That's right.
This one from BK Finest says, I consider this debate more of a conversation than con artist. And they spell con as Khan. And that's not rhetoric.
Yeah, and I will apologize to people as of the last one too, because I talked to Jim Bob, and we had a very similar rapport, I think, because I came in good faith, and so did he, and I think you know, Andrew did as well, and I think there were a lot of people that wanted to see blood sports and stuff. I've done that. If you know anything about the Drunken Peasants, you know I've done blood sports.
Yeah, I've seen some of those debates.
Yeah, you know, indirectly responsible for Milo Yiannopoulos' career going tits up. You know, it was our podcast that kind of somebody else released a clip from it right before CPAC, and it kind of sunk his rising star. But anyway, yeah, no, I've done that. I didn't want to do that here with Andrew because, quite frankly, he's really fucking good at it. And and I'm kind of rusty. I don't do this as anywhere near as often as he does, and so I thought it would be way more productive if we just fucking talk to each other as two people.
It was, and by the way, don't listen to these fuckers. If we went at each other's throats, there's debate about something, and they go, "Why aren't you at each other's throats?"
Right?
It's like, I don't fuck you guys, you know, like fuck you, modern day debate chat. Fuck you.
This one from Do Appreciate It. Peaches says, but Paul using fascism colloquially has literally gotten the president shot at multiple times. When do you take responsibility for your own words?
If I felt remotely personally responsible for the president to be shot at, I'd be in hiding, dude. I wouldn't be here on a podcast. I'm sorry. I just don't feel like I bear that responsibility, even as part as a collective. As far as I can tell, the one person who actually took a quote shot at Donald Trump, well, the one that hit him in the ear, I guess you could say, that guy was a lone nut, right? That's the theory. Just a crazy fucker that somehow circumvented the greatest security apparatus in history type guy. That didn't have anything to do with me. Sorry. I didn't know the guy. I don't know what to tell you.
You got it. This one from Andrew Thrasher says, "Good evening, Modern Day Debate. Former senior airman Andrew Thrasher here. Glad to have another respectful debate. Now, Paul, go tell your leftist lunatic friends to stop being a-holes to the Wilsons N1SB." What does N1SB mean again?
I'm not sure, but
one
yeah,
step
dude.
back.
Oh, yeah,
Watch that. Leftists, stop being a-holes to Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, please. There you go. They're not going to listen, but
Paul, I feel like they're just not gonna. I feel like
They're
they're
not gonna
not gonna take you up on it.
Sorry,
I don't think so.
I tried though. Nobody can fault me for trying.
This one from Ryan says, "Paul, quote unquote, I have an olive jar. Andrew, I call your olive jar with one of my own. Did we just become best friends?" Yep.
That was good. I think that is funny. It shows we at least think similarly or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure you probably brought one. Have you brought one of those to all your debates since the olive jar incident?
No,
just to make sure. No. You just thought it was like, see, dude, he thought it was likely that I was going to bring the jar, and he was right. Or
there's
somebody
a couple.
tattled.
There's
a
couple. There's 3 times I've brought one where I thought that there was a good likelihood. But the joke only works if the other guy is if they're fat, right? It only works if they're fat because I can actually do a lot of push-ups, right? And so what I want them, the whole goal is like, okay, now I'm going to call your bluff, and I want one of these. You know what I mean?
By the way, just so you know, for a guy of my size, and it's kind of hard to see me because I wear strategic fat guy black to hide how bulbous I am. I'm about 330, 6'1". Okay. For a guy my size, just ask me to do one push-up.
Yeah,
it's honestly beyond that. So yeah. But hey, here comes the Ozempic train for me, though. I'm trying, man.
Yeah, I found it's just switching the diet, man. It's the best. It's fucking cakewalk. Yeah, I mean, just gotta switch the diet.
Yeah.
This one from, do appreciate it, BNT095 says, "Deeply appreciate this crossover. We need equal amounts of Bloodsport and good faith debate to get past this rut we find ourselves in. This was a huge fan of Drunken Peasants and new fan of the Crucible. Hashtag hoop balls."
That's a Drunken Peasants meme. So that's somebody from my community there. Thank you guys so much for supporting. I love James over here. And, if you're in that area, since there seem to be a lot of people, and I got people all over the nation, go to DebateCon, man. Go to DebateCon on the 26th. I won't be able to make it in Dallas, but if you come anywhere on the West Coast, I don't care where, Seattle. I live near Seattle, so that would be best for me.
There has been a lot of demand for the West Coast DebateCon, I will admit.
I'll be there. I'll be there, and I'll be out in the audience cheering on whoever's against Andrew Wilson.
We are almost certainly going to be in Phoenix in December.
Phoenix is doable because I have family in Arizona.
That's base.
So that was in October, you said?
December.
Yeah.
So we're currently planning 2 DebateCons in addition to our summer one. So DebateCon 9 in the fall and DebateCon 10 in the winter, and then February back in Dallas. But yeah, we are for sure planning on Phoenix in December, and then the fall one is maybe Austin, Texas. Like I said, like LAX, I kind of want to do a hotel near LAX, but I don't know. We gotta think about it.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough.
James, have I ever told you the great tale about how my Rumble chat is filled with the biggest retards on planet? I've told you this, I think, right?
No, I don't think you have. Tell me more.
Here's the problem. It's like this bizarre bell curve. The smartest guys on Rumble are smarter than everybody in the YouTube chat. But the dumbest guys on Rumble are so fucking stupid. I don't know how they can breathe. Like, for this dick is gonna come to DebateCon, huh? You see what I mean? Like, I mean, just full blown retards over on the Rumble.
Oh, like they're gonna or they're gonna beat me up, or they're
no. This dick's gonna come to DebateCon. You see what I'm saying?
their dick is gonna.
Yeah.
It was too stupid even for me.
Exactly. Very, very clever. They're very clever. These guys.
Wow.
Very clever.
Wow.
That dawned on me slowly. I'm embarrassed to say how slow.
Same. It came from a slow mind, so it's it's okay.
That's
I literally call them the Rumble retards. It's so bad, dude.
See, another commonality we have. I am constantly yelling at my YouTube chat. Constantly.
No, well, my YouTube chat actually gets the best of me. Almost always they get the best of me, but the Rumble chat, I'm like, what? Did you just fucking eat lead? Like, it's just all you can eat lead buffet? What?
Wow, this is juicy. All right, I'm going over there to peek. The Zucker says Paul is way cooler than Brian Shapiro. Great faith. This one from
Thanks.
BK Finest says Paul, I'm like a dick. Don't you mean in reverse? Pause. Carlos says, thanks for hosting the Crucible, James. My pleasure, and it's our honor. We appreciate both Andrew and Paul for coming on the show tonight. And check out their links, folks. What are you waiting for? There's so much value from getting it straight from them. You have no worry about somebody paraphrasing it in an uncharitable way or whatever. So check out their links. This one from Bobby Ballbag says, Paul, what's your favorite recent video game?
Recently, I've been playing this game called Morbid Metal. It's still in early access, which a lot of people won't even buy a game that's in early access, but it's kind of an action game. Reminds me a lot of Devil May Cry. And it's a lot of fun. And that's my favorite kind of genre, that third person action type thing. So very cool game.
Now
I've been replaying Rebirth.
Ooh, Rebirth is really good.
I never beat it because I didn't have time.
Yeah.
And I still don't.
Yeah, same. So, I mean, but I'm tinkering around with this game that would take me way too long to ever master and beat, That's kind of what we have to do at this age, I think.
This one from Peaches says, Paul is the first leftist that I think I'd actually enjoy hanging out with. It's almost doesn't make sense why he is a leftist. They like you,
He's
Paul.
like hang on. He's like the guy in high school that you like to party with, and you're smoking a joint with him, and he's like, burn it all down, bro. Like these fucking oppressive oligarchical structure. That's what it reminds me of. I like those guys. I thought they were all right.
Andrew, man, we gotta rise up, man.
Yeah.
Richat says Paul should join Verbal Combat panel sometime on Speakeasy channel. It's a fun blood sports debate panel. And
yeah, reach out to me on X if you can and give me some links and stuff. I love doing this type of thing.
I can vouch.
So I'll pop in.
Yeah, I can vouch for him. Speakeasy. He runs like late night debate panels, and they seem to be a ton of fun for people.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
This one from Thomas Santos 93 parentheses gaming says, question for Paul and Andrew, favorite video games. So of all time.
All time, number one. This is always a tough one for me, but I'm just going to use my old go-to staple, Diablo 1. And I know that's a weird one, but that game blew my socks off the first time I played it, and I played it, and I still think about it to this day. So I got to go Diablo 1.
Old DOS games going on here. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm old.
Favorite, I played a lot of DOS games too. Favorite one of all time is Final Fantasy Tactics.
Ooh, good choice. That's just a masterpiece of a game. So yeah, I got no problems with that. Got no comeback on that one.
Wild. I think. Oh, we have one more. This from Bearded Doctor says, since Trump may not fulfill all the fascist molds, so then what does Paul and Andrew call him? Namely, do you call him
a proto? No, proto doesn't work.
I think he's I think Trump is more of a demagogue. He's a demagogue populist. That's how I would characterize him. I still think he's vastly superior to the alternative that we would have gotten through Harris and the rest of these. And so I still support him. I still think a lot of his policies are moving in the direction that I would want to see the country move in. And even the ones that I don't like, I still think he's better than the alternative. So, but yeah, I would say populist suits Trump fine. I don't think he's a fascist at all. And I think that when his term is done, he's going to be really fucking happy to be done with it all at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, he looks like he's about to keel over at any minute.
He's not looking great lately.
No.
I admit.
But yeah, I wanted to ask you that. Do you agree that like people like me, or I guess as a conglomerate, those of us that will refer to Trump as a fascist, do you feel like we bear a little bit of responsibility for the political temperature being high enough for somebody to take a crack at him? Or no?
I think that, generally speaking, the reason I tend to stay away from this argument is because I can't prove it, right? But unless I just started accumulating data, but I do think that leftists generally use much more violent rhetoric and are much more prone to violence, political violence, than right wingers are. Now,
don't the stats actually not bear that out though?
Yeah, it's funny. There was a study that came out about it. It wasn't a study, really. It was like an accounting. But the way that they classified right wingers in that, I kind of had a problem with, because they were talking about like neo-Nazis and Ku Klux Klan and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait a second, that's in no way reminiscent of the right. But even if we just said it was, that's the right wing. Then why aren't they adding like left wing Black Panthers and they didn't add those groups in either. So there was a problem with how they actually calculated it up. But generally speaking, the ones who have the large protests where there's a lot of violence, like, have you ever been to a right wing rally? Holy shit, dude! I remember the Tea Party. There was one that happened in Nevada. It was in Reno. And we went and checked it out just because I didn't know anything about it. And this was during a much more cringe libertarian phase of my life, right?
Yeah.
So I went and checked it out. And man, when it was done, there wasn't a piece of trash on the ground. Like, they left the grounds spotless. And then I go to these left-wing rallies, man, and they leave, and there's fucking trash everywhere. There's joint butts all over the place. There's wrecked shit. There's broken glass. I'm like, there's a big difference in how these people view the world. That's for sure.
If only the man had to clean that all up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if only on my dime. He has to clean it up on my fucking dime.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I have never been to a right wing rally, so I can't really attest, but I can attest to the rallies that I've been to on the left wing being pretty dirty already. Like, when you're there,
they're nasty,
kind of trash on the pothead.
And they'll do drugs right out in the open and shit, and it's gross.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. I'm a huge pothead. I don't know if you can tell.
I don't think weed, though, and I'm not just talking about weed. Like, these guys will be dropping acid and shit, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, that seems like a really bad recipe for a really bad acid trip. Yeah, do it at home.
That's true.
I'm one of those. Yeah, do it at home. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, they do that, and it's just like they leave trash everywhere, and they just don't seem to give a shit. You know, they have a very different way that they view.
Well, maybe
things.
they don't, Andrew. You know, like, maybe they just don't fucking give a shit anymore. Maybe they've gotten fed up. Just kind of being so dependent on the government and being unable to hold 3 jobs and unable to start their own business or buy their house anymore. Maybe they are just fucking done with it.
You know, let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. There's something my dad told me many, many years ago when I was like, 15 or 16. And he said, one of the ways that you can gauge a person is if you ask them the question, are you in the place in your life because of you or because things that happen to you? And and what's really funny is that always stuck with me. And I'll often ask leftists, are you where you're at in life because of you or because of things that happen to you? And most leftists say things that happen to me. And most right-wingers say because of me, at least that I've talked to.
I guess maybe I'm a right-winger then, because, you know, I take full responsibility for my life and my position. And look, I've had successes in my life, so I take fucking responsibility for those too.
Yeah. You're well, sure, you're a successful guy. I'm talking about the guys who aren't that successful. Like, if they're living in a dump, or something
Or
like
still
this.
with mom, which is
Yeah, and
like
they have
even
the right
worse.
wing political ideology, let's say, and you ask them, you're like, "Hey, man, are you in this fucked up squalor because of you or because of what happened to you?" A lot of times in the right, what I hear is because of me, because I fucked up, I did this or I did that, or and then on the left, it's always like because fucking some asshole did this to me, and I can't get a leg up in life because of all this other bullshit that's going on, and um, that's a big distinction that has informed me. Now it's small and it doesn't prove shit. It's just something I've noticed.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. I don't think I don't think we fully agree on it, but I definitely don't think we disagree.
Yeah.
I think there's a middle ground there somewhere.
That's so interesting. There's something called
Horseshoe theory, you're about to say, huh, James? You about to talk about horseshoe
Oh
theory?
no, are
No.
we horseshoeing?
I don't know what you're talking
Are
about, but
no, no, no. We're not about to touch tips, are we? Because we have to.
No. No,
If
no,
if
that's
we're
not.
the horseshoe, then I don't. We got to stay a little bit apart there. Okay, it's not a horseshoe if it's closed.
I'm not
All
coming
right.
too close. You look like you might lick sniz.
Oh, you said it again. I was gonna
That was the
ask.
meme. That's the meme. That's what makes it funny.
Yeah, but can I ask? Okay, because you brought it up,
uh,
I don't care. I think it's funny. I think the usage is
I
funny.
always
But
thought it was funny.
what made you? Is it so? It is something that you use regularly. It wasn't like a random
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
because YouTube TOS, you can't I couldn't say the things that I wish I could have said.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you
I
have
get
to
you.
do language masking. So you say things like sniz or shit like that. So you have to do
Oh
language
man,
masking.
I am so sorry. By the way, James, I am not as protective because we're in the process of moving to Kick, which is really will allow you to say words and stuff, and I've been really out of practice. I know I said the R word earlier and the
Yeah,
R slur,
yeah,
I
like
believe
a
I said
little.
as
I
well.
think a little of it's not a big problem. It's just like, but you
You
got to be
never know though.
careful when you're in these really long podcasts. Like that was a 6 hour long debate. You got to watch what you're saying because what's really sucks about it is like you put the other person's platform at jeopardy.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
makes
we're
me angry
in.
about it is I'm like, well, even if I'm on like a scumbag left winger show,
Yeah,
I don't actually want to put their show in jeopardy. That's not good
absolutely
for
not.
anybody.
Hence my apology to James. I'll make sure I'm better about that if you have me back in the future. But yeah, it's so hard though too because I don't
no
speak
problem.
that way in my life. You know what I mean? And I try
Neither
to be
do
as
I.
close. I try and be a genuine guy. You know what I mean? If we were sitting on my porch having this conversation privately, it would have went the same way. You know what I mean? But yeah, part of me is that I grew up in the '90s. And those types of things you can say them contextually
Okay,
or
hang
otherwise.
on. It's okay. You call your friends the F slur, right?
Oh, all through the
Oh,
'90s, it was a
see,
greeting.
see,
So
I'm
I'm
not
gonna be.
fucking crazy. That's a leftist trying to gaslight me all the time. They're like, we didn't talk like that in the night. I'm like, yes, we fucking did. You lying
Oh yeah,
sack of
yeah.
dog vomit.
And I'll take it another step farther. The soft N word was also a common greeting amongst white kids. You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
A,
because you
not
were
the R. Yeah,
playing. Yeah,
yeah.
you were playing on it, right? You were
Well,
basically like the whole point of it was to make fun of it. That was the whole
well,
point.
it was that, and we were just getting it through cultural osmosis because a lot of us, I was a skater kid, so it was rap and metal music and stuff, and a lot of that stuff. It was just, we heard it on a song we liked, and we picked up the lingo or whatever the heck. You know what I
This
mean?
guy
It
in my
was.
chat's like soft.
Oh, Rumble.
That was you too, bro.
That was YouTube?
Yeah, that was you too.
Whoa, buddy.
This one
Uh,
from no
disavow. Disavow.
Disavow.
Disavow.
no bot E says too funny. Crucible crew digs Paul, so ask permission if he can come over to play. Paul Andrew might let ya become an honorary crew member.
I don't know about that, but I would love to come and hang out. I'm always open to do stuff like this. I just don't get invited very much. You know what I mean? That's kind of a play sad violin music here.
It says we need some kayfabe with Andrew and Paul occasionally invading each other's worlds with villainous intent. Would love to see deeper dives into each other's philosophies with some wacky antics and jabs in between.
Wacky antics, like what? Like throwing bologna at a stripper's ass or what? So, I don't know exactly what they mean by wacky antics, but I definitely enjoyed talking to Andrew, and I'd talk to him again. Be fun.
Sure.
Juicy. Let me just double check. I think that's all for our
Plus, I'm
questions.
fucking hilarious. Like, why would you not want to hang out with someone who's hilarious? That's just ridiculous.
Sure, why not?
Even leftists who hate me have to admit that I'm objectively fucking hilarious. It pisses them off. Pisses them off, but
the Uno reverse card earlier, I haven't laughed like that in a hot minute. So you're objectively hilarious. You're objectively hilarious.
I thought it was a good one. It's like, have you ever seen a comedian? I had this all lined up for Dave Smith. If he got bad faith during our debate, I was going to be like, oh, you're a comedian. Make me fucking laugh, funny man. Tell me a joke, funny guy. Because comedian, when they're on the spot, can't ever tell a joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would have been funny, too. But unfortunately, Dave Smith didn't do that. So,
well,
it was still a good fucking plan, though, Paul. It was a good plan.
It was a good plan. I like that we both think deviously like that because there are plans.
Because sometimes I feel like I'm fucking Wile E. Coyote out here, Paul. I feel like I'm Wile E. Coyote, and I got all the fucking Acme shit. I got the fucking rocket. I got the saw, and I fucking chop that shit off around the Roadrunner, and the whole fucking bridge collapses, but just that little space stays there with the Roadrunner on, and the motherfucker's like meep meep at me. That's what I feel like sometimes, Paul.
I feel the same way. Yeah. I feel the absolute same way. Chasing our tails.
It has been an amazing debate. Folks, check out both of our guest links. Hit that like button on the way out, no matter where you're watching, whether it be Crucible on Rumble or YouTube or here on Modern Day Debate. But friends, please join me in the chat in thanking both Paul and Andrew. It's been a true pleasure to have you guys. Thank you very much, Paul and Andrew, for being with us tonight.
More than welcome. Thank you.
No problem. No problem at all. Thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you, Paul.
Nice to meet you.
Maybe a contentious issue the chat was asking about, James. I haven't even done this debate in a long time. If you ever want to come back and tangle up on the trans issue, I'm happy to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have strong feelings on that you might be able to guess. I think we'll be rightfully opposed on that, and I think that'd be great. So just hit me up, James, if you want to do it here or on the Crucible or whatever you want. Just let me know.
Oh, we'll come back. We'll come back here. Seems
sure. Absolutely. I'm fine with that. Absolutely.
That'd be based. But yes, thank you very much. Folks, I'll be back in about 20 seconds. I'm going to let these guys go, but stick around. I'll be letting you know about upcoming debates. So stick around. Amazing. Thank you guys for all of your support. I am thrilled to let you know, indeed, DebateCon 8 is this summer. You don't want to miss it. Folks, I'm telling you, this is going to sell out. I'm just saying that to warn you because I'm like, I think we're barely going to be able to fit everybody in this venue. That's how popular it's been. We just keep selling tickets. Usually how it works, we launch a debate con, we get a large surge of people who are pumped. They buy their tickets, and then after like honestly, usually it's like 2 weeks, it becomes kind of slow. It hasn't slowed down. Now, it was a bigger surge at first. Was it about a month ago when we launched? Maybe a little over a month. But it kind of hasn't slowed down. We have several people a day. I checked this morning. It's about an average of 2 orders per day. So that's like 2 to 3 tickets every single day that are being bought up. I have no doubt that this will sell out. Get your tickets now. It's going to be in Dallas. If you didn't know, I'm going to go over some of the debates. As you can see in the background right now, Andrew Wilson will be taking on Loner Box on this very topic, whether or not Trump is a fascist. It's going to be heated. Also, Andrew Wilson will be taking on Dinesh D'Souza. That's going to be a huge debate on whether or not Christians are morally obligated to support Israel. In addition, Destiny will also be taking on Dinesh D'Souza on whether or not Trump has been performing well as the president. This one's stacked. So when we look at these debate cons, we're like, how are we going to top this? Now, those are going to be epic. But I've got to tell you, we have added major talent. Now, we've got major talent already that we've always hosted. For example, Inspiring Philosophy will take on Jake Brancatella, Muslim, and that's going to be huge. But new to this conference, Trent Horn, huge Catholic apologist, and frankly, one of the sharpest debaters there are. So I would say Trent is like up there. He's of the highest level. He'll be taking on Alan Parr. Alan Parr, with over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, is a wildly popular speaker, very articulate. This is going to be a mammoth show. Not only that, but God Logic Apologetics, who has been like a phoenix rising up out of I wouldn't say ashes because he's always been popular, but rising like a phoenix lately because God Logic Apologetics just recently has turned into like Elvis Presley. I mean, 5,000, 6,000 people watching him live. That's comparable to the Crucible's live audience. Avery, God Logic Apologetics, is on fire. He'll be taking on Daniel Hakikachu. It's going to be controversial. Put your seatbelts on. This show is going to melt faces. This rocket is ready to take off. That's not all. Rachel Wilson will be taking on Not So Erudite on whether or not feminism has been good or bad for society. That is going to be another juggernaut debate. Folks, DebateCon is coming fast. It is like a huge locomotive barreling down the tracks, and no matter what challenges we face, DebateCon is coming this July in Dallas. Get your tickets. Don't put it off because I'm telling you, don't do this. I get it. Most nights, I'm a little bit more introverted. I like to watch 80s and 90s movies on YouTube Movies. I love YouTube Movies. They're tremendous. And I purposely like what some people would say are bad streaming services like Tubi or Pluto TV because I love 80s and 90s movies. Usually with Arnold Schwarzenegger, not always, but you can't sit at home too much. You have to get out and do fun things. Don't get to the end of your life and think, man, I wish I would have taken more risks. Which, by the way, one of the bigger risks that people, have you ever heard of this book? It's Top Regrets of the Dying. So there's a hospice nurse who would go around to ask people who knew that their days were numbered, what are the biggest regrets you have? And the number one is like, I kind of I feel like I didn't live the life that I wanted to live. I felt like I did what other people expected me to do. Is you have to go for it. So come on out to DebateCon, meet your favorite guests. The guests are what make this show. It's not debate. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love DebateCon, and I love, like, frankly, I feel like there are a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I wish our branding wise we could have done better. But DebateCon, we nailed it. And I feel like that it's just a great name. And but the point is this: it's not what makes the conference great. It's the speakers that make DebateCon great. They're what have made the brand like, DebateCon, like that sounds fun. Thanks to people like Andrew, Rachel, Avery, David Wood, Mike Jones, Inspiring Philosophy. They are the reason to come to this event. Come out and meet your favorite speakers: Lonerbox, Destiny, Dinesh D'Souza. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. We do appreciate your support. I am linking the DebateCon 8 tickets right now. They are pinned at the top of the chat. They're in the description box. I'm telling you, don't wait, because, like, no joke, we usually get really close with every event where it's kind of like, should we close tickets? But this one, I think I'm like, we might have to close tickets like weeks before. It could really be that way because they, like I said, they just keep selling. And every one of these debates, we pin it in the comments, and more people are seeing it. I'm a little bit, I think we can fit everybody in this venue, but we're going to have to rent. I'm telling you this right now. We're going to have to rent chairs. The venue only has 250 chairs. They have enough room to where we can squeeze in 400 people, but we're going to have to go rent our own chairs. So don't wait. Don't put it off. It's going to be huge. DebateCon 8 tickets are linked in the live chat, and they're pinned in the description box. However, and so I see you're in W7X509. I see they're in chat. Said, who's Paul's ego? I love getting to share the story. So, The Drunken Peasants was an old school TV show, not TV show, YouTube show. It's like it's from the age of TV because that's how old it is. Drunken Peasants has a legacy on YouTube where back when they became the most popular, or not, I would say one of the more popular shows on YouTube. It was when PewDiePie was the reigning biggest YouTuber. So that's how far back it was. That's a while back. Now I've got to tell you, this debate tonight was epic. So huge thank you to Paul and Andrew. But I've got to tell you a couple other things. Patreon members at the MDD VIP tier that I want to shout out: Oliver Catwell, Andrew Berry, and Patrick O'Neill. Thank you so much for your support. And want to tell you, we have a new Facebook page that you have to check out. So I'm linking this in the live chat as well right now. Is if you click on, I'm trying to think of what Drunken Peasants would be analogous. If you go really far back, Drunken Peasants probably had overlap with Worski Live. And that's like really far back. So Old Blood Sports Debates was part of like what was on the menu for both of these channels. But as I mentioned, the Modern Day Debate Facebook clips page is pinned in the live chat. If you have a Facebook, go follow this because I have a feeling you're going to love the clips. Good to see you in the live chat. Sideshow Nav, who's my right-hand man, and honestly, he's kind of like the main guy running things at Debate. He's almost like the director because it helps me to be able to focus on moderating and then just being able to meet people. Is Sideshow Nav in chat is my main man and like the director at DebateCon. He makes it possible. He's been with us since DebateCon 1. I remember when I used to call Bob and I was all pumped up, and Bob was pumped up, and we were like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do it. We're going to do our own conference. Modern Day Debate's going to do, this is back in 2000. When we were starting to plan this, it would have been 2020. I think that's right. When it would have been very late in the year, 2000, January of 2021. I'm trying to remember if it was 2021 or 2022. I think it was 2021. I'm pretty sure. So I've got to tell you, check DebateCon is going to be amazing, but check out our Facebook page. It's got a lot of clips of Andrew and Rachel Wilson. It's got a lot of clips of David Wood, Mike Jones. It's been really popular. So it's had a great start because we had to restart our Facebook. We had a Facebook with like 32,000 followers, and then it got into algorithm trouble, and I started new. I said, "Hey, we're gonna." For months, I was trying to figure out what do we do. And then finally, I was like, we're gonna start clean. Just forget it. And I just deleted it, like, bam, completely deleted. And I'm glad I did because this one's got good momentum and it's going in the right direction. It's got join it while it's small. It's got 136 followers right now, but don't worry, it's going to grow so fast. And trust me, this was the right decision. I'm absolutely convinced of that. I can tell based on the metrics. We are already, no joke, we're already passing the views of the old Facebook. So we're in the right direction. Trust me on this. Now, if you have a TikTok, because you're like, I'm not a boomer, I don't have a Facebook, I'm a Zoomer. I don't remember all the terms. Nowadays, it's hard to remember. There's the boomers and the Zoomers and the Coomers. I don't know which generation you're from. But if you have a TikTok, it's pinned in the live chat right now. Modern Day Debate also has a TikTok where we release our clips. So do check that out. What are you waiting for? Bob said January 2021, and it snowed in Dallas that weekend. That's right. Yes, okay, it was. You're right. If I remember right, it was like January 7th and January 8th. Because I remember we were like, should we do this when we're competing with, we knew that, are people going to buy tickets when they're thinking about Christmas? And I remember that. And now we kind of learned enough to where we're like, it's like, okay. He's like, but the point is this. Sideshow Nav says, what is TikTok? That's funny. But it's pinned in the chat right now. Follow it. Even if you don't watch TikTok, if you have a TikTok, you're like, I don't really, yeah, I've got the app and I've got an account, but I don't use it. Go follow us there. It's a personal favor. It would be appreciated by me. The reason is our goal is to get to 10,000 subscribers or followers, as they call them on TikTok, by the end of the year. We've got a great start. And I'm absolutely convinced that we will get to that number by the end of the year. But join now. Other cool stuff. Oh, our Patreon. I don't mention this. We've never really mentioned the Patreon much, even though it's got epic perks. So check them out. I just put our Patreon in the live chat. Go ahead and check it out. Cool perks. Check them out. In addition to our channel memberships, what are you waiting for? We have this juicy members only playlist that I'm putting in the live chat right now. Sideshow Nav says, I thought it was the sound of clocks make. That's right. I think I like kind of forgot that TikTok. Oh, I see. Now it makes sense. Is like that's why they made. I never even realized. Like I never even like. I know that that's the sound clocks make, but I never realized like they call it that because it's like only short content. So it's like TikTok. The clock is ticking, so it's like short content. It's like quick and done. But I had mentioned our memberships. Click that join button if you haven't already. But not only that, use your Amazon Prime Twitch sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you have a free Twitch subscription that you can use for any channel. So if you have Twitch and you have Amazon Prime, go over to, I've just linked it. I just put it in the live chat. Modern Day Debate has our Twitch channel. Go over there. It's pinned in the live chat, and I'm actually going to put it in our description box. I can't realize that we never put it in the description box. It was a boomer mistake on my part. Let me see if it is in there. No, it's not. True boomer error. Our Twitch. All right. Is go use your free subscription because that helps Modern Day Debate out. We do appreciate that. And then I'm also going to put our, and then, yeah, we're going to start streaming over there again. We haven't done it in a long time, but it helps if you follow. And not only that, 2 seconds. I gotta update the upload defaults. Is this DebateCon will melt faces. I'm telling you. There it is, Twitch. Thanks for your patience. It will melt faces. I am excited for it. And let's see. I think you put everything. Oh, the Discord. This is essential. You're watching Modern Day Debate. You probably love debates. You can listen to more. Also participate in them. Thank you for your super chat from W7X509. Says, here's a few coins for some candy, James. Thank you. How did you know that I'm like on a candy kick lately? I've been eating so much. My favorite candies. You know the little Crunch bites? So there's the Crunch candy bar, but then there's like the little circular, like sphere-shaped bites. Oh, those are so good. But not only that, M&Ms and Reese's Pieces, because where I am, it's warm. And sometimes they're in my car, in my bag while I go work out, because I don't want to bring my whole bag in. But anyway, point is this. M&Ms are very practical, and Reese's Pieces, because they have the thin candy shell so that they don't melt. You know, you don't have to worry about that, which is awesome. Because all my other chocolate, like Kit Kats, I come back out and I'm done with the workout and I'm like, oh, I'll have a Kit Kat. And I open it up and it's like, spilling out of it. Like it's all mushy and just deformed. So, Bearded Doctor says, just joined you on Twitch. Thank you for doing that. Seriously, that means a lot that you did that. That's a personal favor to me. I appreciate that. And thank you, Bearded Doctor. And thanks for being a member as well. Appreciate that. In fact, thank you to our other members as well and to our mods, Sideshow Nav included. Neglectful Sausage says, anyone play Nebulous Fleet Command? Come over after stream. I've never played it, but thank you for the super chat. I play retro video games. No joke, I do play Super Nintendo games. Not a lot. Like, I don't know, maybe like but here and there. I'll do it to like relax because it is fun. And it's kind of like, you can relax watching a movie, but you video games, I have to admit, you do when you play video games, you do detach from like work or whatever else you might have going on in your life that you're just like, I'd like to have a break from thinking about that. Video games help you detach more than movies in my experience. Maybe somebody else you feel like you detach more through like a good story, like through a movie. But I'd say video games are like, for me, like one of the bigger detaching things that help me recharge. Now I'm trying to think of what else. Oh yeah, the Discord. Let me put that. I'm gonna pin that. So we are at 16,000 thanks to Hannah, who is in the live chat, and Shane. They built the Discord up. I plug it because I'm like, hey, you might enjoy it, folks, and they would love to have you there. I have to be honest, up front that I'm still learning how Discord learning, like, oh, that's how it works. So do check out that Discord link. It's pinned in the chat. Highly encourage you. You will not regret it. And it is close to hitting 17,000. So huge props, street cred to Hannah and Shane. They have done, among others, that have like worked hard to like get the word out and welcome people. And W7X509 says, anyone on Night Rain? Hannah says, we are almost at 17,000. So it is close, folks. It's gonna pretty much any day now. And Seraphic Y8R says, anyone else going to MDD? I know that Sideshow Nav and chat will be going to Modern Day Debates DebateCon as well. And I will definitely be there. I promise you that. I would guess there's others in chat because, like I said, there's just crazy. Like, I'm looking, let me tell you the number of tickets right now. The good thing is they're spread over 2 days. So some people are like 1 day tickets, and some of them, though, are 2 day tickets. But let me look this up right now because it's, like I said, so 196 tickets. It's crazy. I'm just blown away. I'm excited. I'm encouraged that I'm like, hey, this is going to be our best one yet. People are voting with their feet. They're getting tickets. So Let's see. Any other last things that I was going to plug? But I want to say thank you guys for making this fun. I want to say thank you for being a subscriber, because if I see you in chat, I know that you're subscribed. Thank you guys. Mark Thompson 22 says, I'm planning to get my DebateCon tickets as soon as I get paid this week. Thank you, Mark, for coming out. It's going to be amazing. I look forward to hopefully getting to meet you. It's going to be so fun. And Neglectful Sausage, thanks for coming by. Hannah V6J, thanks for being a mod and thanks for being here. Seraphic Y8R, thank you for coming by, as well as being a subscriber. And thanks for being a subscriber, The Bearded Doctor. And Jethro Spectacular. And Sideshow Nav, long time, not just a subscriber, but my right-hand man. And it's going to be amazing at DebateCon. Thank you, Bob, for being with us for this long and just being amazing. Bob brings so much positive energy, and he's positive and it's encouraging, so that even when I'm tired and I'm worn down, I'm encouraged by Bob, because his demeanor, his morale is so strong, it's so good, that it's enthusiastic. It's like a virus that you can't help but catch, but it's a good kind of virus. It's the kind that gives you superpowers. So 17 and Local Machine. Local Machine, thanks for all your kind words. I appreciate that. That means a lot. I see you're always positive in the chat. That means more than you know. But yeah, thank you guys for all your support. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. We will see you guys at the next debate, which is this Thursday. Big Mike will be back to host that one between MC Toon and new friend Solus. Flat Earth versus Globe Earth. Yeah, that's right. I always forget what the other one is. Flat, I remember, but the globe thing, just very quotidian. You hear about the Earth being a globe all the time. It's easy to forget. But also, Andrew will be back this Saturday. He's scheduled to debate Leslie. So that's going to be a fun one. But yeah, thank you guys for all your support. Thank you to the guests linked in the description box. They make this channel what it is. Modern Day Debate's a fun time. Thanks to the guests, and thank you guys for making it fun as well. We'll see you at the next one. Thanks for all your support. I love you guys. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. The future is bright here at Modern Day Debate, and DebateCon is going to be amazing. We'll see you at the next debate.